Recapping the top story at 3, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme says applications for the 2025 academic year will now open on Friday. I'll be back at the bottom of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipa.
And coming up in sports this hour, SuperSport and SABC agree terms on sub-licensing of PSL broadcast rights, and Sri Lanka recall batsman Fernando for New Zealand series. More details at 3:30.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.7 FM in Cape Town.
Have you recently migrated to the new TV licenses payment website? Make sure your account stays active by registering again or resetting your password. Don't miss out on all the fantastic new features our brand new website offers. Get registered today and stay connected with us. With the new website, get your payments done quickly and hassle-free with a wide range of services. So make sure you register to take advantage of all the great client features. Visit www.tvlic.co.za today. TV licenses. Do it for the things that matter.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Spurs set their sights on 3 points and trust their strategy to contain their visitors.
And there's the flick, and there's the goal. Pedro Porro.
While the Bees have a huge responsibility to illustrate that if they play impressive football for the entire duration, they will march out of the pitch a happy outfit.
Narrow angle, hits the post, back to Mbemo, 1-0.
This is the Premier League. Catch the thrilling contest between Tottenham Hotspur FC and Brentford FC on Saturday 21 September at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Hello, John in for Ashraf. Ashraf's taken a well-deserved break. So Jon Gericke with you for the rest of this week between 3 and 6. Great to be along with you. It's a Monday. What's the date? 16th. We're getting close to payday. If you get paid on the 20th, good luck. You've got 4 days. If you're like me, you've got a little while to wait. It's okay. Petrol price we hear is going down. That's some good news for you. Things maybe. Interest rates are being spoken about, and maybe the interest rates will be coming down. We can only hope. Welcome to the show. Let's see what's happening in the pulse. I feel as if the pulse is racing a little bit today as we look at the national pulse. Coming up in a moment, we're going to talk about this. Yeah, we hear about these extortionists, right? And what was it? The construction mafia. Now, there are reports that there are extortionists demanding protection fees from social workers in the Western Cape. We're going to talk to the DA Provincial Social Development spokesperson in a moment. Social workers, these are people trying to help people, and extortionists have found a way to make some money from there illicitly. Still in this hour, can the ANC reinvent itself? Former President Thabo Mbeki is of the view the renewal of the ANC requires a complete overhaul of its membership. It'll help to address the quality of the party's membership as it has been declining, saying that that's the problem. The current leaders in the ANC are not good enough, says Thabo Mbeki. You've got to start right at the beginning, and we will build our way up. We'll talk to a political analyst about that. We'll take your views as well, as always. Then, the big news over the weekend was what happened at the Babel restaurant in Menlyn. A staff member posted a series of videos on social media, and who was it? The EFF went in there on the Saturday, and Department of Home Affairs went in there yesterday along with the police. 3 people arrested, including the owners of the restaurant and 2 staffers who were undocumented. We'll get an update on that story later on in the show. Then MK Party members who have appealed in court, these are the 10 expelled MK Party MPs, are to appeal at court judgment, dismissing their reinstatement, that they couldn't go back into the party. We'll get an update on that from a former MK Party member and find out what their current state of play is and what they're going to do about not being MPs anymore. The court's saying it's okay. They've got it's not that important. They can get other jobs. Being an MK Party member is not their only outlet, and we'll find out why they made that decision. We're going to talk to Paula Quincy about personal growth today. Looking forward to that conversation. I've had interactions with Paula Quincy before. She's the founder of Engaged Humans, and has written a piece that questioned what it takes to be an empowered woman. And if you're a guy, don't worry about it. It's for all of us. You can invest in your personal growth. It's not just a luxury, but a necessity. There are pros and cons to that, and one of those is how much it costs and how much time you have. The NHI bill, the NHI law, is going to be discussed a little bit more tomorrow. The president saying that he's had lengthy discussions with the health minister after his comments on the NHI. And also we heard stories that the president will meet with Busa Business Unity South Africa tomorrow. And we'll hopefully talk to somebody about what is happening with the NHI, what the current standing is with this compact that Busa didn't sign. Remember, this is an ongoing story for a while. And then at some point, we hope to squeeze in what is happening with the weather. This morning when I drove into work, lovely day in Johannesburg. Now this afternoon, cloudy. Is this the start of the rainy season? And I see the Weather Service has put out some warnings as well about some big storms expected over KwaZulu-Natal into the Free State as well. We're going to see what implications that has, because from what I understand, and I'm in nowhere near a farmer, I planted some seeds, they're not growing, but the farmers would have planted now. And what is devastating rain and floods mean for the farmers? Obviously, KwaZulu-Natal always having these weather issues. What does it mean for KwaZulu-Natal? I see some of their emergency services are on standby, so we'll discuss that with the weather as well. Welcome to the show. Let's take the National Pulse. It's 12 minutes past 3.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
The Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape's warned the extortionists are now demanding protection fees from social workers. The party is also concerned that attacks on social workers have increased. Let's talk to Wendy Kaiser-Philander, DA Provincial Social Development Spokesperson. Wendy, good afternoon to you. Thanks very much. Social workers, people that are helping people being asked for money?
Good afternoon, John, and thank you for having me and shedding light on the awareness of this matter of the safety of our social workers in the Western Cape.
And to give us the details, what's happening?
John, yes, one can't even begin to comprehend as to why something like this would even happen. We had a committee meeting on the 6th of August where we invited the department to share their objectives with the members of the committee, and emanating from that meeting was that the attacks on social workers, whether it's physical hijackings, were on the increase, assaults as well. And this past Friday, we had a meeting with the Department of Social Development in the Western Cape. We also had the South African Police Service present. And Lieutenant General Patakile was there in person. We also had the Government Motor Vehicle Transport Director with us. And yes, we heard now that also extortion of social workers is also now something that we need to be concerned about.
So these are extortionists that are asking for protection money, and I use that in inverted commas, right?
Yes, that's correct, John. From what we've gathered is that whilst social workers are in the vulnerable communities doing their very crucial and important job, they are now threatened and asked they should give money or they will be hurt in that sense, yes.
These social workers, are they from within the community or are they coming from somewhere else?
This is government employees which obviously resides within the province, And we've also now seen, John, that the department, as part of their measures to mitigate this attacks, they have now buddied social workers, meaning that they don't work alone, they work in pairs. But you can also imagine the implication thereof. Whilst the social worker should attend to a case, another social worker is now accompanying a social worker, and that obviously causes a backlog in the service that they need to render to the vulnerable community.
And also costs with security escorts having to be with them as well. I'm assuming that'll be private security.
Yes, absolutely. The department also informed us on Friday that they put 20 million rand aside for overtime for these workers, but also we were informed that even the police, and many days we ask, where's the police? As for the ambulance services, as we've heard now, the police are also, as well as city law enforcement, are escorting social workers in these danger areas.
What's the mood among social workers now?
There is a lot of trauma, anxiety, and obviously people are afraid that, for their lives, rightly so. The department is also engaging with those social workers affected. They have counseling sessions with them, and they make sure that they, on a daily basis, check in with the police to ascertain where those red zone areas are, so that social workers can go about unharmed doing their work.
I'm just thinking about costs again. Therapy is not free, so that's adding to the costs of being social of the social development department.
That's correct, John. And also, we've seen that these criminals entering this facility posing as clients and actually robbing or assaulting social workers. So yes, it is a crisis element currently.
41 attacks so far in the past year, 6 robberies, 35 hijackings and assaults. Are there also robberies and attacks on premises where social workers work, or is this very personal?
There have been. We are now, after Friday, we are, as part of our recommendations and resolutions, asking more questions for the department in terms of what was the cost to infrastructure itself, as well as vehicles, and what measures are taken at these facilities to make sure that clients as well as staff are unharmed. We've also seen that by the government motor vehicle transport department, there has been some measures instituted when it comes to the vehicles and hijackings, because what we've been informed that sometimes they find these vehicles across the border, and now there's tracking devices, extra tracking devices installed in these vehicles, number plates are removed, and also the branding, just as a measure also to secure the lives of social workers.
Wendy, what feedback are you getting from the cops?
Excuse me, John?
What feedback are you getting from the police?
From the police? I must say there is collaboration between the police and the department. We've also been informed on Friday by the provincial commissioner that this matter is in high regard at the priority committee. So we can even see more support from the police in that regard.
And do you feel that there'll be a point, and I know the social workers have a difficult life at most times, do you feel there'll be a point where social workers go, actually, we're not going to go into Khayelitsha, we're not going to go into Elsie's River at all?
Well, that might as well be the case. We are also concerned as those that are currently pursuing the career of being a social worker, because what will happen if we don't have social workers in our communities. And that is why, John, we've also written to the National Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development. We've written 3 letters thus far that we will now have to take stronger action. And that letter was to classify these attacks as attacks on the state, because that is indeed what it is.
Then why, you see, I asked what the police feedback was, and you're saying getting positive feedback, but surely this is something the police can easily solve, because the social workers know the community, and they can go in and go, it was these guys, and we know somebody who knows somebody.
Exactly, but remember, John, that is the exact same individuals that need to go into that community. Also, so much so that we also need the community. We mustn't leave the community behind in this conversation, because also that exact communities that need the assistance from the social workers are the community that knows who does these crimes. And we need the community to come forward and contact the law enforcement agencies and be forthcoming with the necessary information to curb the scourge.
Wendy Kaiser-Philander, thank you very much. She is the DA Provincial Social Development Spokesperson. What do you make of that? Extortion fees and protection fees being charged from social workers, and 41 attacks against social workers in the Western Cape. Let us know. You can give us a call, 086 000 2032.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week, and the bottom 6 are taken on a culinary trip back to school. For this challenge, they must create their dream lunchbox filled with nutritious yet delicious treats. And their creations are impressive. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
TUT Matatanta ladies are focused on full points as they chase a suitable position in the top half. But UWC want to triumph and pressurize log leaders. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. TUT Matatanta Ladies FC versus UWC Ladies FC on Saturday 21 September at 8:30 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Becoming Elizabeth is the fascinating story of the early life of England's most iconic queen. With no clear heir, the death of King Henry VIII sets into motion a dangerous scramble for power. Elizabeth's fascinating and factual journey to secure the crown is filled with scheming, betrayal, and illicit relationships that threaten to bring forth her demise. At a time in which every man or woman of the court is on the wheel of fortune, which may take them to a position of great power one moment, or the executioner's block the next. Channel your inner royalty with Becoming Elizabeth, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
22 minutes past 3. Let's get some international news now. And Amnesty International is calling for the immediate release of 4 Angolan activists who were allegedly wrongfully detained in September last year. They're demanding Angolan authorities must release the activists now, especially given their worsening medical conditions, and it sounds horrific. In Angola is Sidia Alcidio Chisangu, Amnesty's Angola campaigner. Sidia, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Give us some background here. Who are these 4 Angolan activists?
Thank you so much for having me. These 4 Angolan activists, Adolfo Campos, Tanais Neutro, Gildo das Ruas, and Pensador, they are activists who have been using their arts, in the case of Tanais Neutro and others, protesting, going to the streets to demand better living conditions. And normally, has the last protest that happened on 16 September have always been peaceful. But instead of being heard, they have been arrested and sentenced to 2 years and 5 months in prison. That's why we call on the Angolan government to immediately release these activists, because they didn't do anything wrong. Protest is not a crime. They should be heard and not arrested for exercising their human rights.
That court case initially sounds horrendous. No evidence presented at all at the trial?
Yes, they were actually initially accused of outrage against the state and its symbol, but there was no sustainability. So in the courtroom, the public prosecutor decided to change to disobedience and resisting orders. But as we have seen in the videos and photos and also witness that were there, on the day of the protest. They didn't resist at all. In fact, they were laying on the ground. But also, it's never clear why is it that police even approached them in the first place, because that protest had been duly communicated to authorities weeks before it actually took place. And we do believe that that was just an effort to silence voices and limit people from exercising their peaceful their rights. That's why we do call on the Angolan authorities to immediately release these activists.
The issue that you've raised, Amnesty International has raised, is the worsening health conditions. It sounds, some of these things are almost things you can't say on the radio. It sounds horrific that they're going through.
Yes, absolutely. It's been very concerning. We have been documenting several cases since they were arrested last year, but not only this case, past cases as well, we have noticed the same patterns. Right now, Adolfo Campos has been complaining of problems in the eyes and the ears. In February, he was admitted to hospital and his doctor recommended an immediate urgent surgery. But since February to this date, it has never been responded to. Gildo started complaining of pain in the back for the past 2 months, but he was only allowed to actually see a doctor on 1st August. And once he was checked, he was recommended to use a wheelchair because he cannot stand for more than 30 minutes. Tanais Neutro had a surgery scheduled even before he was arrested last year in 16 September. He was not even given access to the surgery, and right now he has been complaining also from pain in the back and his legs. But the most concerning thing also is that even they are not only not given access to medical care, but also there are cases where the families are not allowed to even give them medicines. That's why we do think that it's also a way to somehow punish them. And we do call on Angolan government not only to immediately release them, but pending their release, to give them access to adequate medical care.
As you say, not the first time this has happened. Gilson Moreira, a musician, almost suffered the same sort of fate. He was told, a judge ordered his release for treatment. Prison authorities justified the order. Is this an ongoing issue in Angola?
Yes, Tanais Neutro is Gilson Moreira. He was arrested on January 2022 because he called the president a clown, and he was sentenced to 15 months in prison. After seeing all his health condition, a judge ordered his immediate release in October 2022, but Tanais was only released in June 2023, 18 months. His sentence had expired, and even though we did at the time, we also campaigned for that case, there were no basis and sustainability for his imprisonment, and was even worse because of his health conditions that were public. Everyone knew what he was going through, and he needed urgent surgery, and he was not given access to the surgery. And many times, his wife, we talked to her several occasions, and she was complaining that she was not being able to give the medicines directly to her husband at the time. And right now, that surgery never happened. And on top of the symptoms that he was having in the past, he has been complaining of pain in the back and in the legs and not receiving medical treatment. That's why we keep calling on Angolan government to immediately release them, given the fact that their health condition has been deteriorating. But pending that, we do believe that there is a need to pay attention to their health conditions, since the three of them, when they were arrested, they had no health issues. But right now, every month we document a new situation and a denial for them to have access to treatment.
Amnesty International saying this is tantamount to torture. What is being done besides Amnesty International calling for things to change? Is anybody else getting involved?
Yes, the wives of the four are on the front line of the campaign on the ground. In fact, they have a protest this Saturday to demand the immediate release of their husbands. But other different groups, they are also mobilizing, collecting signatures door to door, talking to people, talking to different organizations, institutions, not only on the regional level, but also in the continental level, to make sure that everyone knows what is going on in the country, because the case of these four is just a drop in the ocean. There are many more other cases of people who have been arrested and sentenced for protesting. And one of the examples is Net Nahara, who was arrested last year on 13 August simply for criticizing the president on TikTok. And she is also an HIV positive person. And since she was arrested, she was denied access to her medication for exact 8 months. That was only able and possible after constant demands and requests from their lawyers for her to get access to medical treatment. So we are watching this case, but many other people are also doing the same thing.
Going to leave it there. Sidia Aldicho Chisango, thank you very much. Amnesty International's Angolan campaigner brings us to just about 3:30. Coming up in a moment, can the ANC reinvent itself? We're going to talk to a political analyst after former President Thabo Mbeki is of the view the renewal of the ANC needs a complete overhaul of its membership. And then we'll get an update on what happened in that blitz inspection at a Pretoria restaurant over the weekend. All of that after news headlines at 3:30.
Thanks, John. In your news making headlines for this hour, Higher Education Minister Nobuhle Ngwane says moves to terminate the National Student Financial Aid Scheme's R2.5 million rental lease of its Cape Town head office is underway. NSFAS has come under fire for paying the exorbitant rental while facing financial constraints. In other news, Transport Minister Barbara Creasy has emphasized the importance of the aviation sector in economic development as air transport is expected to fully recover from the COVID-19 pandemic in the current financial year. And lastly, the military rulers of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have announced that they will introduce biometric passports as part of their new Sahel alliance. The move is aimed at further severing ties with the West African regional bloc ECOWAS. I'll be back at 4 for SFM News. I'm Eva Chipa.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice. This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Do I introduce you, right?
Yes.
But does Ashraf introduce you?
Yes.
Okay, then I shall introduce
and
you
I'm
as well.
called the sports minister. Okay?
Sports minister?
Yes, the
really?
minister of sports.
There we go. Huh?
Get on with the program.
Do you want to be the Gayton McKenzie of sports readers?
Yes.
Okay, just check.
Why not?
What's happening? We got plenty of people to be able to watch some football.
Yes, some great news for SABC viewers. Let me just greet our listeners. A very good afternoon to you guys. Well, the SABC and SuperSport have agreed on a sub-licensing deal for PSL matches. The public broadcaster will show 23 out of the 240 league matches and Carling Black Label Cup games, Nedbank Cup, and 6 National First Division matches. And the league games will be every Saturday on SABC 1. So every single SABC viewer, I'm sure, is smiling right now. But in the meantime, Kaizer Chiefs coach Nasruddin Nabi says that he's still weighing his options to replace Fernando de Cruz, who has since taken up a job with the Morocco FA. De Cruz was the first of the newly appointed Amakosi backroom staff to arrive in SA, but on the eve of the Betway Premiership, Cruz took up another project, and Nabi admits that the Frenchman left a void that needs to be filled.
No, why not? Why not? It's possible. All is possible. All is possible. It's possible because I have too much work. Job is only with one assistant is not. I have specific work with I need maybe if Mr. Groos go definitely in Morocco, I think he's good definitely because we received the letter from Morocco, but we wait some little time to observe the situation.
Meanwhile, moving on to women's football, University of Western Cape coach Tina Sonke says that it's quite disappointing when match officials decide the outcome of matches after a side were held to a goalless draw by the University of Pretoria in a Hollywood Bet Super League game yesterday. Mbuli believes that they were denied 2 goals, which could have given them the much-needed 3 points as they challenge reigning champions Mamelodi Sundowns ladies for the league title.
Yeah, it's disappointing. You know, Urefu decide. They say sometimes Urefu Vuexena decided who will win today, but today I prove it because you can't tell me the first goal, but the second one there is no way that you can say that's not an offside. And what's worse is that when you approach her, she's even arrogant to say, "I know it's not a goal, it's not a cap." So what can you say?
I was actually covering that game yesterday, and you could see that the ball actually went into that goalpost, but hey, it is what it is. Then moving on to cricket, Sri Lanka recalled top order batsman Oshada Fernando for their 16-member squad announced today for the 2-test series against New Zealand, with Nishan Madushka left out. Now, Fernando last played for the team against New Zealand in March 2023, but has forced his way back after a strong showing for the Sri Lanka A side against their counterparts from South Africa this month, which scores of 122 and 80. Then in cycling, Tour de France champion Tadej Pogacar heads into this month's cycling road world championships looking for his first title, but the 25-year-old says that he has extra confidence, especially after winning the Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal yesterday. Now, Pogacar, who won his third tour in July to add to his Giro d'Italia victory, is looking to become the third man to clinch cycling's triple crown, previously achieved back in 1974 and 1987. And finally, motorsport. Lando Norris feels that Ferrari is a bigger threat than Red Bull after his McLaren team went on to the top of the Formula One constructors' standings for the first time in more than a decade. Oscar Piastri's impressive victory and Norris find 4th place with the fastest lap from 15th on the grid yesterday took McLaren 20 points clear of Red Bull, and Ferrari, who had Carlos Sainz crash out with Red Bull's Sergio Perez on the penultimate lap while fighting for third with the second highest scorers, with Charles Leclerc run up from the pole. The Italian team, whose last constructors title was in 2008, are third overall and now only 31 points adrift of the reigning champions. So it'll be interesting to see who is going to win that constructors standings overall. Do you see McLaren winning?
I do see them winning, sadly.
Really?
As a Red Bull fan. I think they're going to win it. It'll be between Red Bull and Ferrari. I think that's very right. Something's happened to Red Bull. They've lost their mojo, or their Adrian Newey, whichever way you want to put it. But yeah, it's exciting again, which is great. Whereas yesterday, the top 5 cars were within 2 seconds of something.
Yeah.
With 5 laps to go. That's the way it should be.
It should be.
It's good.
I can't wait for Lewis Hamilton to come to Ferrari.
Yeah. See, if Ferrari are competing, it's interesting as you say that. I'm not a Lewis fan. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm a Max fan. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if it's Ferrari McLaren next year, then Lewis will win it because of his talent.
We hope so.
Well, poor old Max. Sure.
All right, I'll have more on other sports next hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg is slow moving towards Crown Interchange. The N1 southbound in Grasmere has delays approaching the engine services. Woodmead Drive northbound has delays towards Maxwell Drive, and Eskampa-Hleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Moot Street. In KZN, the N3 westbound slow moving towards the M13 Paradise Valley Interchange. The N2 southbound has roadworks reported with traffic restrictions between Umgeni Road and Spaghetti Junction, and the N3 is roadworks with traffic restrictions between Pyramids Hotel and Van Renen Village. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow-moving towards Okavango Road exit. The N7 Jakes Havel Drive southbound is slow-moving at Voortrekker Road. Brighton Road in Kraaifontein is slow-moving at the N1. And Strand Road eastbound in Stikland, slow-moving towards the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
For 18 years, Kumbulekaya has been fostering healing through forgiveness and reconciliation.
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
I grew up without a mom.
So what happened to your family?
What family? You are my family. What happened to you?
Witness as families forgive one another and reunite after a long time. Catch the new season of Kumbulekaya on SABC1 every Wednesday at 9 p.m.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. You love drama? Then step into the world of Luther as he cracks down on criminals terrorizing the streets of London Monday to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Top Gear will have you falling in love and rolling in laughter as Jeremy Clarkson and his team take you on an automotive journey like no other, Monday to Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
John in for Ashraf for this week. It's the National Pulse here on SAFM. 20 minutes to 4 o'clock. Coming up in a moment, can the ANC reinvent itself? We get an update on what's happening with the weather. The Weather Service issuing a yellow level 4 warning for parts of KwaZulu-Natal, also into the Free State. We're going to talk to a meteorologist at the SA Weather Service and get an update on what that means. What is it? Level 4 yellow warning anyway. Let's take a couple of voice notes. That number, 0614 104 107.
Good afternoon, John. This is Bloemfontein. It's very shocking and disgusting that this criminal will demand a protection fee from social workers. They should be arrested and sentenced to a long, very long sentence, prison sentence, so that the others that want to copy this nonsense, they should be afraid. It's very disgusting, really.
Good afternoon, John. If you hear on the radio people decorating the work of the social worker, it sounds like I'm living in a different country, because the social worker they're talking about on the radio is not the social worker that I know, the social worker that I used to buy myself to if there is a problem in the community. Because those social worker, the social worker that I know, the social worker, those are not doing the following when it comes to the crisis that the society faces. I don't know exactly the work of the social worker, because only what I know is that the social worker that I know are the social workers that are only looking at their salaries.
Let's go to Fix in Cape Town. I also want to talk about the social workers. Fix, how's it?
John, thank you guys for taking my call.
Go ahead.
John, I fully agree with the lady that just called.
Mm-hmm.
And again, John, with the extortionists, I used not to blame them, but I'm blaming them now when they target good, let me just say good social workers, because there are also bad social workers that are actually doing what's called extortions. Let me just tell you which ones, and I'll mention the name. One of them's name is Christine in in Safe Space 2 in Cape Town, the place for the homeless. And what is actually happening, John, I've got a friend that was actually robbed 3 months back. She's one of those good social workers. She was robbed in I section next to Bong's Tavern. And she's just staying right across the railway station, which is E section. I was shocked that she was just robbed of a government-marked car. And it became sad when she told me how terrified she was. And this thing of extortion can only work, John, when the state actually comes to party, because the state actually does not employ those actually with criminal records. Because I'm one of those ex-cons that actually have criminal records. And on top of that, John, is that once you start changing to become a good citizen and start fighting against corruption, then the state uses you as a person, targets you as a person that is actually an ex-con. So, which is wrong for government, not to allow people to go into jobs or to workplaces because of their criminal records. So what I'm saying is,
I do find that strange, because we got a sports minister who's an ex-con.
No, John, because the reason is he's a politician. Then he was clever enough to go to politics than just looking for a job. Because if you, like, for instance, you apply, then they start searching and checking, because you're always asking. And then they won't hire you.
Fix, you've raised a number of issues, Fix, and so there's the hiring of ex-cons and this issue now of good and bad social workers. We're going to have to delve into that a little bit more. Help me out. So the extortion seems to be taking a step back here, because we've got the issue about a good and a bad social worker. So there is extortion, and we agree that that's bad. Well, what is the difference between a good and a bad social worker? I'm going to need some explanations of that, please.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Okay, let's talk about the ANC for a little bit. Former President Thabo Mbeki is of the view the renewal of the ANC requires a complete overhaul of its membership. It'll help to address the quality of the party's membership as it has been declining. In fact, he's called for an audit of its membership. Professor Andre Divenacher is a political analyst, joins us now. Prof, thank you very much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice speaking to you here from Northwest University.
What from Northwest? What do you imagine, or how do you imagine the ANC would audit its membership?
Well, before that, I think, and I will answer you on that one, before that, we need to ask the question, why is Thabo Mbeki so prominent? Why is the question you are asking me not coming from the president of the ANC or the secretary general? Why Thabo Mbeki? And to me, this is an indication of the state of the ANC in 2024. And if I must analyze it seems as if the ANC is in the process of imploding. And my own assessment of the ANC is that if there will be an election in near future, they are probably going to perform worse than they perform in the 2024 elections. So I can understand why the argument is there for an overhaul of the ANC. And if we talk about an overhaul of the ANC, we talk about a complete transformation of the ANC. Basically, and that happened to the National Party before 1994. It became an outdated organization within its own time. And we know what the outcomes was. And I think the same is applicable to the ANC. And now it's a process of reform. And it's interesting the role Thabo Mbeki is playing. I know that Thabo Mbeki for the last 2, maybe even more years, was facilitating negotiations and other aspects among groups in South Africa. And I'm also referring to the interaction with Afrikaners. So clearly, he has a different view about what is going on.
All right,
but he's playing a critical role, and this to me is an indication there's a lack of leadership in the ANC.
The ANC prides itself in being the most democratic of the political parties. It starts down in the grassroots, people are elected, it's voted, and that works its way up through to the higher echelons. What is wrong with that process then?
No, there's nothing wrong with the process. But what if the branches are not in place? What if there are criminal groupings taking control of these branches? We know about the whole thing of parallel structures. We know about the conflict there was about positioning people on lists of the ANC, ending up in court cases in Northwest and in other places. So it's not about the principle, it's about the reality or the way you implement this. And clearly, the ANC at the moment is an organization in severe trouble. And we just had the information coming from KZN, where the Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, clearly stated that the ANC is in trouble in KZN. Their branches are not working. I know here in Northwest we have a lot of parallel structures. And you know, if the problem started at the grassroots level, there's a knock-on to the district level, to the provincial level, towards the national level, and that is the problem.
Prof, I need to take a quick ad break, and then I want to continue about how they can possibly make this change. My guest is Professor Andre Dievenage, political analyst from the Northwest University.
Four dynamic design duos reimagine and reinvent 4 apartments in a century-old building nestled in the vibrant suburb of Sea Point, Cape Town. Armed with creativity, determination, and a limited budget, the duos fight against the clock to transform this grand old dame into a contemporary masterpiece, all under the critical eyes of an expert judging panel. The winning duo will claim a grand prize of 300,000 Rand, with an additional 100,000 Rand going to the fan favorite team, as voted by viewers. Channel your inner wow with My Design Rules, Sundays at 7 p.m, only on S3. Open up. S3.
Welcome to the team, Andile.
Thank you.
What will be your first order of business?
Well, ensuring our greatest assets are taken care of.
Our vehicle fleet?
No, our employees. You see, I want them to feel confident in our company's employee benefits, and Old Mutual Corporate is perfect for that. They take care of everything, from retirement benefits to health and group risk solutions, consulting, and more.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Spurs set their sights on 3 points and trust their strategy to contain their visitors.
And there's the flick, and there's the goal. Pedro Porro.
While the Bees have a huge responsibility to illustrate that if they play impressive football for the entire duration, they will march out of the pitch a happy outfit.
Narrow angle, hits the post, back to Mbemo, 1-0.
This is the Premier League. Catch the thrilling contest between Tottenham Hotspur FC and Brentford FC on Saturday, 21 September at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
Continue my chat with Professor Andre Dievenage, political analyst from the Northwest University. Prof, we'd noticed some of the issues, and you've raised the problems that the ANC are experiencing. How can they turn the ship around? And you said elections coming soon. They are. 2 years from now, we've got elections.
Yes, indeed, in 2026 we will have local elections, and we know that local elections can be very problematic for the ruling party because it's about service delivery, it's about a number of things. But then also in 2029, we will have a national elections. And if I look at the strategies of parties like, for example, the NK party, indeed it is a situation that's going to be very challenging for the ANC. But their strategy should be, and now I'm going to shoot in a straight way. I think they need to revise the whole concept of the National Democratic Revolution and its application with regard to transformation, cadre deployment, black economic empowerment, equity, and all the related laws.
But
I think that's a serious problem.
But that's once the leaders are in place, right? So all of those things you're talking about is once all those decisions have been made as to who's running the party. Are the right leaders in place to even do what you're suggesting?
I think at the moment, the doves and not the hawks are in control of the ANC. And now I'm referring to Cyril Ramaphosa, in a way, Fikile Mbalula. I'm not that sure about Paul Mashatile, because Mashatile can link towards the Lesofis, the EFF, and maybe even the MK party. We must clearly state that there's a conflict going on within the ANC. It's a battle for the soul of the ANC, the real identity. That is why a person like Zuma is referring to Ramaphosa ANC as if it's not the real ANC. The real ANC is within the MK party. And that battle will play itself out. But I think the realities of South Africa politically, economically, and socially is pressuring the government to go into a more pragmatic orientation with regard to issues. But this may mean that we can see in future a new reconfiguration of political groupings. This is not only about the ANC itself. It's also about South Africa. It's about what the country can do. Can we keep the state stable and in place? So the challenges are bigger than the ANC alone.
Prof, we need to wrap it up. But the government's national unity, we've seen President Cyril Ramaphosa back a bit on the Bela bill. There's the NHI that is a big sticking point. The way that this is playing out, is that hurting the ANC, or is it making them look as if they are there for the future of the country?
It's hurting the ANC. Without any doubt, it's hurting the ANC. And I made a comparison earlier with the National Party. It's like the National Party were going away from all these apartheid laws and trying to present it as if it is in the interest of the white minority. That is the type of situation the ANC is into. But that is real politics. That is the reality. And the way they are going to present it is going to be critical. Therefore, I believe that the government of national unity is the right way to go. But they need to find each other. They need to find each other around the legislations you refer to, but also with regard to the Zondo Commission and the implementation of the Zondo Commission, with far-reaching implications for many senior politicians in South Africa. So there are major issues. In essence, we need to rebuild South Africa as a state, and we need to progress in terms of nation building on many levels.
Professor Andre Divenach is a political analyst from the Northwest University. Thanks very much.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
See, the WhatsApp lines have exploded. So you can send us a WhatsApp voice note, 0614 104 107. Let's quickly talk weather for a little while. Weather changed in Johannesburg during the day. And I see the South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 4 warning for parts of KwaZulu-Natal, also into the Free State as well. Eastern parts of the Northern Cape, southern parts of Northwest, southern. It's quite a large area. Lehlo Nolo Tobelo is a meteorologist at the SA Weather Services. Lehlo Nolo, what's happening? Why have we got these warnings?
We're having much more isolated showers and thunder showers over most parts of the central and the northeastern areas. So we scattered along the southern parts of Gauteng, widespread in KwaZulu-Natal today, resulting in these convection, resulting severe thunderstorms, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, spreading to the northern parts of, rather, northeastern parts of the Free State province. Expected to bring about heavy downpours that might lead to localized flooding, strong winds, as well as a possibility of hail in some areas where it might get more severe. Tomorrow we're seeing a widespread chance of showers and thunder showers spreading to the central parts of the country, Covering the Free State Province, as well as the central and the eastern and northern areas of KwaZulu-Natal, still remaining scattered over most parts of the central and the southern parts of Gauteng. Isolated band will cover most parts of the central area, spreading to Mpumalanga as well as the southern parts of Limpopo for tomorrow, with a yellow level 2 of severe thunderstorms still expected, but now it spreads over to the central areas, covering the Free State, southern parts of Gauteng, as well as some areas over the eastern parts of the Northern Cape, as well as the southern parts of the Northwest. This you can expect damaging winds, heavy downpours that might lead to flooding, as well as the possibility of hail should the storm get to be more and more convective.
These warnings, yellow level 4, where would that fit in? If what is the worst warning, and how does this fit into that worst warning?
I think the worst would be the 10, which is red. Okay. Which means
so 4 out of 10. So 4 out of 10 is bad, but it's not that bad.
No. So in terms of forecast prediction, yes, that would work. But in terms of severity, then you look at the impact-based table. So we have minor, strong, rather severe, significant, as well as part of it. It depends on how the impact will be. Now, on the side, we have a likelihood called then obviously minor, likelihood of it happening, the storm of it happening, which rather be medium, low, or it will be a high likelihood of it happening. You'll have a yellow level 2, which results in a high likelihood of the storm happening, but with minor impacts that are expected to be impacting most parts of the areas where the warning is issued to. So if you had a red, it will be a severe impact that's expected with the warning, with a higher impact. It's a higher likelihood of it happening.
Okay.
Yes.
So bottom line is tomorrow's yellow level 4 is a dangerous one. Be careful and look out for flooding. That's the big warning.
Significant. I think can have some significant impacts, which then might result in, depending on what it is, if it's heavy rain, it results in some flooding that could be significant in flood area. If it's hail, it could be strong or rather large or small amounts of hail. Strong winds that might result in some disruptions, especially in some informal settlements.
Just quickly, Lehlonolo, because we've got to go to the news. Is this just a spring storm, or is this bigger than that?
No, it is a spring storm. I mean, we've gotten into spring, and spring is a transition between winter and summer. Yeah. But remember that we're from above normal temperatures, maximum and minimums, as much as also much more of the convection season, where we see a lot of storms starting to start. Could be late spring, but could be mid-spring. But now, as we're already seeing storms developing over most parts of the eastern interior. So we are right on time.
Lehlonolo Tubelo, thank you very much. Meteorologist at the SA Weather Service, brings us to 1 minute past 4.
Top stories for this hour. NSFAS to terminate its costly rental lease in Cape Town, and the aviation sector to make a full recovery from COVID-19 setbacks. Good afternoon, I'm Eva Chipa. Higher Education Minister Nobuhle Nkabane says moves to terminate the NSFAS 2.5 million rand rental lease of its Cape Town head office are underway. The financial aid scheme has come under fire for paying the exorbitant rental while facing financial constraints. The scheme has also been criticized for its head offices being located in Cape Town, while most students who depend on it are in Gauteng. The minister and the NSFAS leadership briefed the media in Pretoria on the applications for the 2025 academic year, which will go live on Friday.
We are going to decentralize. We are going to establish regional offices in 3 provinces, which is the Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal. Then we see how best can we then come up with satellite offices in other provinces. We are in plans to actually terminate the contract that we have with the landlord in our Cape Town offices because it doesn't make any business sense anyways.
Deputy Minister of Health, Joe Phaahla, has emphasized that early detection of non-communicable diseases, or NCD, is essential to prevent loss of life. Phaahla and stakeholders in the health sector have been highlighting growing concerns on NCDs, which include diabetes, hypertension and cancer. Speaking in Pretoria, Phaahla also extended his condolences to the family and friends of late former Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, who died of cancer.
Many of you would be aware that just a few days ago we lost one of our colleagues in government, former Minister of Public Enterprise Finance, Minister Kodan, who also succumbed from cancer, which was not detected early. So by the time it was detected, it was already spread to the lungs and other organs. So this is just a reminder that this is a real fight. We have no one is spared. At your level of education and level in society, these are diseases which are a threat.
Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has emphasized the importance of the aviation sector in economic development as air transport is expected to fully recover from the COVID-19 pandemic in the current financial year. Creecy says over the next 20 years, air transport in South Africa is estimated to grow by over 100%. The minister was addressing the 8th Aviation Africa Summit underway in Sandton.
If this target were met, air transport would support nearly 800,000 direct jobs in our country. So we must work together to harmonize regulations, standards, procedures, and foster greater collaboration between our aviation authorities.
In other news, the City of Cape Town's Water and Sanitation Department says it will conduct planned maintenance in the Eerste River, resulting in water supply disruptions. The maintenance is set to begin tomorrow and last until Wednesday. MMC for Water and Sanitation, Zaid Badruddin, says residents in affected areas should store water in advance, but there will be water tankers. And lastly, looking further afield, the military rulers of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have announced that they will introduce biometric passports as part of their new Sahel alliance. The move is aimed at further severing ties with the West African regional bloc ECOWAS. It remains unclear how the new passports will affect the travel of their nationals to other ECOWAS states where they enjoyed visa-free movement as holders of a 50-nation regional passport. The BBC's Nekche Ogbona has more.
In a televised address, Mali's leader Assimi Goïta said the initiative would start in the coming days. He said it was aimed at harmonizing travel documents and would help citizens move freely around the world. In January, the junta-led trio quit the West African regional bloc. It had imposed sanctions on them after the military coup in Niger last year. ECOWAS has warned the new alliance will undermine freedom and trade among the bloc's 400 million people.
Recapping the top story at 4, Higher Education Minister Nobuhle Ngabane says moves to terminate the NSFAS 2.5 million rand rental lease of its Cape Town head office are underway. I'll be back at the bottom of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipa.
In sports this hour, Pakistan women win toss and elect to bowl first against the Proteas women, and Daimani races out the blocks in France. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Modderfontein Road eastbound in Kempton Park has a crash reported near Sierfontein Avenue. The M1 southbound in central Johannesburg is slow moving towards Crown Interchange, and the N1 southbound in Midrand has a crash before Beclew Interchange. All lanes are open. In KZN, the N3 westbound an earlier stationary vehicle at the M13 Paradise Valley Interchange has been cleared, but traffic is still slow moving. The N2 southbound is slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction, and Umgeni Road westbound slow moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, the M3 southbound is queuing towards Rhodes Drive. The N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound is slow moving towards Hospital Bend, and Batencrust Street outbound in the CBD slow moving towards the elevated freeway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
There's no road our buckies haven't traveled on. Roads to new beginnings
Roads to many firsts.
Sandra, enjoy your day at school.
Roads to delivering precious cargo.
Breathe, honey. We're almost there.
Even roads to saving the day.
Hey, Juan, we're going to have to tow you.
With every road that we've traveled for 45 years, we are what a bakkie should be. Bold, capable, and reliable. Introducing the new limited edition D-Max 45, equipped with everything you need for every kind of adventure. Isuzu, with you for the long run.
Dawn breaks across the lush Serengeti plain. But paradise is fleeting as the animals face fresh challenges. Kali, the lioness, and Bakari, the baboon, may seem safe in their rock fortresses. But with rivals encroaching on all sides, their future hangs in the balance. Out on the plains, Duma the cheetah faces his destiny. And down by the river, baby hippo Mafuta strikes up an unlikely friendship with the crocodile Magamba. Channel your inner explorer with Serengeti, Season 3, Sundays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
It's 4:10. You with SAFM. John in for Ashraf today. In fact, he's got the week off, so I'll be in for him for the week this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. It's the 16th day of September already, counting the days to the holidays. It's school holidays next week. That's right. Coming up in a moment, we're going to get an update on what happened to that blitz inspection at a Pretoria restaurant. This is after social media outcry. It all started on TikTok, alleging unfair and exploitative labor practices in the fancy restaurant. There were some arrests last night. We'll get an update on that. Also, we're going to do a little power thing. How much do you have to invest in yourself for personal growth? There's the pros and cons. It feels as if something you should do, invest in yourself for personal growth, but there's positives and negatives as well. And we will get an update on that in a moment. Let's go to voice note. In fact, we're hoping to talk to the MK in a moment as well. This is the story about 10 expelled MK party MPs. They're going to appeal a High Court judgment dismissing an urgent application for an interdict to be reinstated for their jobs. We were going to talk to Mpo Mochekwe, who is a former MK party member. He's one of those 10, but apparently he's in a meeting at the moment, so we'll try and get him. Let's take voice notes and take some of your calls as well. You're welcome to call 086 000 2032. Say that again. 086 000 2032. But let's take voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good afternoon, John, Vulicate, and the hearers of the station. It's a shocking statement if you hear the Department of Education is preparing to retrench 2,000 teachers. Before May 29, they were promising us to employ 5,000 teachers. But vote phase, just like that, they are now preparing to retrench. Slack retrenching people because the standard of living is too high outside here. Slack retrenching people. But if you're reluctant to listen to us, I promise you, you will feel sorry for yourself in the next election. Tusi from Minanda, bye.
This is a message for the prof. The challenge is for Thabo Mbeki to keep quiet because they can't even do an audit on ANC-run municipalities. How the hell are they going to do an audit on the ANC itself?
A very good afternoon to you, John. John, that professor from University of Northwest, he mustn't come here on the national radio with speculations. He's busy speculating there. He doesn't have facts. The reason why Thabo Mbeki is doing what he's doing is because he's campaigning for his political party. He's campaigning for the African National Congress. Reason being, he's an ex-president of the party. That professor mustn't come here with lies here. You can tell that he's a professor of the campaigning black political parties. Kazamola Koza Pretoria Social.
Let us know what you think. 0614 104 107 via text. Afternoon, John. As an observer, I can tell you now the former president can say his wishes now. Come 29 at the national polls, the ANC will be buried for good by the voters as punishment for their 30 years of arrogance and thieving members who never went to prison through though the evidence is there. You can fool people, but not all people are stupid. Watch the space, says Sampie Smith in Vicksburg. And where was the other one? Good afternoon. I think the ANC's problem is not at the top, but at the bottom. Therefore, as long as they keep a blind eye on that aspect, we're going to punish them more come 2026. That's from Ernest, who sent that. Sipho says the ANC will soon vanish. Nothing can be done about that. They brought problems to themselves by endorsing the president, who had no support from the people on the ground, but had support from the investors. They went on shooting themselves in the foot by that so-called GNU. They are finished, says Sipho in KwaZulu-Natal. Like to take your views. You can give us a call on the phone number 086 000 2032, and you can send us a voice note on 0614 104 107. Where are we going? We're going to the guest. No, we're going to? Oh, we're going to voice a clip on a couple of these. Let's take a quick break if we can and get an update on what's happening, because our guest is letting us down, one of the expelled MK members. Also, we're going to hopefully invest in your personal growth as well, so stay close.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Big announcement by the Department of Higher Education today that the NSFAS applications for next year's academic year will open on Friday. They were supposed to open tomorrow, but that had to be postponed due to concerns raised by student organizations at universities, Tivet College, and institutional governance structures. The Minister, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, briefed the media in Pretoria on developments today. Let's hear what the doctor has to say. She recently found that NSFAS is the main factor in higher learning instabilities.
We also consulted extensively with PSET institutional governance structures, the South African Union of Students, commonly known as SAUS, the South African Further Education and Training Student Association, SAFETA, the South African Public Colleges Organization, SACPO, and the Universities South Africa, which is commonly known as USAF. It was due to these critical consultations that we have had to postpone the launch of 2025 NSFAS online application launch, which is a significant concern for students nationwide. Another reason for postponing the launch of the 2025 NSFAS online application process was to allow NSFAS to do a dry run on the online application system to stakeholders. The feedback received has already informed some of the critical systems changes to simplify the online application process and also making it accessible to all. Amongst others, the stakeholders' engagement helped us to enrich our understanding of such matters. I will highlight a few. It was agreed in our engagement that NSFAS is the main factor of instabilities in our institutions of higher learning. However, this is linked to delays in releasing matric examination results, which then translates to delays in funding decisions. The second challenge that was highlighted is that we need to improve performance of NSFAS and also to review our student funding model, which should have an interface with the SETAs. And on private student accommodation, it was agreed that it should be a conducive environment for both learning and living.
Oh, good luck to you. Those applications, as I said, opening up on Friday for the 2025 academic year. One of those issues, Nesfas, how much money, how many millions have gone missing or stolen or borrowed or sent to the wrong people over the years. While we're talking about that, we're going to get to you in a moment. Who's it? Lynn and Kimberly. Going to come to you in a moment. I see a news as well today, breaking now, about an 8 billion rand claim backlog at the Road Accident Fund. And the headline on News 24 saying that the boss wants lump sums and payouts for richer people scrapped. This is all part of the turnaround for the Road Accident Fund. Apparently, it's reaching its limits. Regression in performance of virtual certainty. Presenting the fund's annual results, the CEO reported a raft of improvements in the organization since the new operating model was implemented in 2021 financial year. Let us know your details. Have you had experience with the Road Accident Fund at all? He says plenty is being paid out, but are we seeing it? Is it just a rumor that they're not paying out? Let's quickly go to Lynn and Kimberly. Hello, Lynn. Lynn, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Lekker, go ahead.
But all I wanted to say is that I'm always thrilled when I switch on the wireless and I hear your voice.
I'm glad that you used the word the wireless, because I use it too, Lynn.
I can easily. I am always the voice of independent and impartial SAFM, because you're the only one that I can relate to of all of the presenters. So if I turn on and one of the presenters is not available, then you step in. I am thrilled.
Thank you, Lynn. And good. Is it warm in Kimberley? Because I may or may not be going to the Northern Cape next week. So what's it like at the moment?
I don't know yet, but Kimberley has only got 2 seasons. It's very hot or it's very cold.
All right, Lenny Kimberly, thank you very much for the call. You can give us a call as well, 086 000 2032.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
All right, we're going to take an ad break in a minute. We're looking for 2 guests that are, I don't want to say they let us down. They're busy doing other things. We're going to come to Mpho Machekwe in a moment. He's apparently in a meeting, former MK member, about the 10 expelled MK party members. And then we're also hoping to talk to somebody about the Babel restaurant in Menlyn. That's after a former staff member posting a series of videos about what was happening there. Well, there are no basic salaries. They took a percentage of their tips. And what else? Oh, they had to pay for their own uniforms. Now, I had to pay for my own uniforms. Back when I was a restaurant, I worked at a restaurant when I was a kid. That's all changed now. It's all become very professional. And how can you not get paid and rely solely on tips? It makes no sense. And hopefully we'll speak to somebody about that rate. 2 people arrested as well for not being South Africans in the country illegally. So hopefully we'll get all of that later on.
Africa Chibembe. As trees and flowers blossom, the nation gets brighter and excited for sporting action. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. SABC Sport celebrates the nation's diverse culture and heritage. Happy Heritage Month. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The following advert is directed at HR and finance executives.
Hi there.
Hi.
Your talk on employee benefits earlier was very insightful.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out who I should connect with on how best to structure our company's employee benefits. Any suggestions?
Well, I trust Old Mutual Corporate Consultants. They offer expert advice on optimal investment strategies, retirement fund management, employee benefits design, and much more. This means you'll get the best advice on your employee's future.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Corporate Consultants is a division of Fairburn Consult, FSP 9328, a licensed FSP and member of the Old Mutual Group. T's and C's apply.
Devastated by the brutal murder of his wife, John Luther returns in the 2nd season of Luther to policing in a different world. With his old unit gone, Luther finds himself working in the newly created Serious and Serial unit, headed by former police complaints officer Martin Schenk. And now, a strange and mysterious masked man wanders the streets of London, carrying out ritualistic murders in historic locations, working his way up to one final masterpiece. Immerse yourself in a world-class drama with Luther Season 2, Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Starts Tuesday the 10th of September on S3. Channel your inner drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
S3. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
23 minutes past 4, John in for Ashraf. It's the National Pulse on SAFM. Let's talk about this raid that happened last night at Babel Restaurant in Menlyn. This is after a former staff member posted a series of videos on social media platform alleging unfair and exploitative labour practices at the fancy restaurant. 3 people arrested, reportedly including the owners of the Pretoria East restaurant, 2 staffers who were undocumented. Let's talk to Viwe Mlenzane, Acting Director General of the Department of Employment and Labour. Viwe, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much. Let's start at the beginning about this. I guess you always want whistleblowers. We always hear about asking the community to let you know if there are issues. Is this an example of that?
Look, John, thank you very much for inviting us to your show. Certainly, indeed. We are encouraged by the fact that citizens do take up these issues with us. And, obviously it is up to us as officials to ensure that once, citizens, garner up courage to act on these particular matters, that we are seen to be responsive to them and we address them decisively.
But somebody who doesn't know the story, this young lady came on and she was explaining what was happening at this restaurant. She didn't have a binding contract. They had to buy their own uniform, no basic salary. There were fines handed out for breakages. There was even a deposit, a breakage fee, just in case they broke something. It makes no sense. And they also had to buy all their own equipment, including cigarette lighters, bottle openers, all those kind of things. What is the norm? What should it be in a restaurant? If somebody is now, because this is basic stuff, right? Somebody is just coming out of school, maybe they've got a job at a restaurant. What is expected of them?
Well, look, so we've got basic, regulations in terms of our employment laws, John. The least that we expect from employers is adherence to the basic minimums, right? We've got a basic conditions of employment law that stipulates what employers ought to do in instances of employing either casual labor or permanent labor or hybrid. We also have, a minimum wage law that stipulates how much money employees ought to be paid. So there is no situation where there is no clarity in terms of expected behavior and practice. But what you do find, though, is that there are some of, employers here and there that might err from time to time. I must hasten, though, John, and say that it's not everybody. But we do also we are beginning to see, some concerns, particularly in the hospitality industry. I think by nature of the environment, it employs younger people who are not necessarily au fait with some of these aspects. And that sometimes they do get taken advantage of. And it is our responsibility to make sure that, they are protected as vulnerable workers.
Yeah, it's almost something that should be taught at school, the basic employment conditions, so that when you do start getting employed, you've got that knowledge to enforce your rights. Let's talk about the illegal foreigners that were being employed by the owners. What will happen to them?
Look, so I would briefly touch on that because that's in the competence of Home Affairs. But as we understand it, that those colleagues would be they were apprehended last night together with the owner of the establishment, and they will probably have to pay certain fees, but I'm not an expert in terms of that particular aspect. I must confess that.
All right. So what happens to the owner now? He's done this. This is part of yours. This is employment. He's hired illegal people. He's also treating staff illegally. What is the process?
Well, so the owner is going to be fined for that particular aspect. But let me also just share with you, though, John, and the listeners, that in the context of what we went there for, which is to check compliance with labor legislation, we found probably about 5 of our labor laws that have been contravened by this particular establishment. In fact, it's 2 establishments. One of them is the Occupational Health and Safety Act. We are concerned about certain practices there that we believe are unsafe. As a result, we have put a prohibition in terms of what can be done and can be done in terms of day-to-day operations in those 2 establishments.
Mm-hmm.
There is the concern as well in terms of non-adherence to unemployment insurance and the COIDA Act, and also basic conditions of employment. We have found that employees, our earliest indications are that employees are owed about 1.5 million rand in wages that is due to them, and that is actually quite a shame because they can afford such situations with young people. So of course they're going to have to comply with the laws. They have the next 14 days to correct the wage issue, and they have the next 60 days to correct the safety issues. If then they are not correcting them, they will then be prosecuted.
Okay. Viwe, I can guarantee you there will be 5 or 10 messages that will come through now saying all you have to do is just go to any restaurant in South Africa and you will see people flouting the rules. Do you have enough enforcers? Do you have enough people to go into restaurants and go, show me that you're doing everything legitimately?
So the answer to that question is you can never have enough. South Africa is a vast country. Let me give you some numbers. We have about 1,900 inspectors.
Mm-hmm.
That's barely enough to cover the length and the breadth of our broad country. We do have to build more capacity. But in saying that, we have, for the financial year ended March 2024, have conducted about 2,900, inspections. And again, it's never going to be enough. We need to do more, but you need capacity to do that.
That's 2 inspections per inspector.
Yeah, so look, hence I'm saying, we have to get activists and activism in terms of citizenry to then also bring these. By the way, those inspections we've got 2 approaches to it. One is a proactive one, which is this one that I just gave you, and the reactive one, which is the one that you saw last night.
All right. Did it take social media, this young lady, to go onto Molly Bave, to go onto social media to raise your awareness, or do you know that this is an issue?
No. As indicated, that we have been doing proactive interventions. I've given you the numbers of what we did last year. Is it enough? No, it's not enough.
Right.
So yeah, of course, we can't necessarily sit back and not do these things proactively. So we've got to increase our capacity and capability of proactive enforcement.
How do we, if somebody's having an issue right now, I know I've got to go to headlines, Viwe. If somebody has an issue right now, must they put their grievances on social media, or is there a phone number that they can phone right now?
Well, look, they can contact our labor centers, all right, or our contact centers. I just don't have those numbers with me handy now, and they can then obviously advise us through the social media. We've got presence in all of the different channels online.
Viwe Mlanzane, thank you very much. An Acting Director General of the Department of Employment and Labour. It's 29 minutes to 5.
For this hour, the Road Accident Fund CEO Collins Letswalo is calling for efficient use of state resources amid news that the Road Accident Fund recorded a 1.6 billion deficit for the 2023-24 financial year. The fund attributes the shortfall to the absence of fuel levy increases over the past 3 years. In other news, the Higher Education Minister, Nobuhle Ngabane, says moves to terminate the NSFAS 2.5 million rand rental lease of its Cape Town head office is currently underway. And lastly, the Western Cape Education Department says although reducing the number of teachers is unavoidable, they are taking steps to minimize the impact. It was announced earlier that they would be cutting over 2,000 contract posts for the next year. Greg House will be back at 5 with more news. Voice FM News, good afternoon. I'm Eva Chipa.
SAFM.
guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg is slow moving towards Crown Interchange. The N1 southbound in Midrand has a stationary truck reported at Olifantsfontein Road. In Pretoria, Eskom Pahleli Drive northbound has delays towards Mood Street, and the N1 southbound has a stationary vehicle reported after Rigel Avenue. In KZN, the N2 southbound slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction. The N2 northbound has a crash reported before Mgeni Road, and the M19 eastbound has a crash reported on the link to the N2 North. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound is slow moving towards Racecourse Road. The M3 southbound is queuing towards Rhodes Drive. The N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend, and the N1 Service Road outbound slow moving towards the N7 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
To me, I wasn't watching the screen, but South Africa in trouble against Pakistan.
Sure.
Huh?
Things are looking very, very shaky for South Africa. Hopefully.
I like that, shaky.
Yeah. It's not yet trouble, but it's shaky.
It's like the weather guy. He was explaining the different levels of the weather. This is like, how much in trouble are they? They're on shaky ground. I like it.
Well, we start things off with cricket. Pakistan won the toss, electing to bowl first in that first T20 against Proteas women in the UAE. Now, this series is playing a crucial role in their preparation for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024, with Chloe Tryon making her 100th T20 appearance and Seshni Naidu making her debut. In terms of that score on the go, South Africa sitting on 40 for 2 after 7 overs, and Marizan Cup and Tasman Brett at the crease. Cup sitting on 14 and Brett sitting at 9. Hopefully things will start building up in terms of the Proteas women, because obviously they want to make sure that they are all set and ready for the World Cup. Then while many sports continue to struggle with securing funding and professionalizing women's competition, Cricket South Africa seems to be making significant strides. CSA announced a 1-year sponsorship deal with Hollywood Best for the Pro Series League, which is set to begin next month. Now, this 6-team domestic tournament will ensure that women players are paid for their participation, allowing them to focus on training and competing without financial concerns. And CSA Chief Executive Officer Puletsi Moteki says that the Federation is working on bringing more corporate partners on board to further develop women's cricket in South Africa.
With partners like Hollywood Bets, it's quite an expensive endeavor. So you need partners to walk that journey with us. And we're hoping, with what we started last year, and with Hollywood Bets joining us, there's other corporates who will obviously assist our sister federations to also be able to launch and professionalize the space, because we actually need it. It's the right thing to do. So obviously commercial partners are going to be quite key. We're still very much grateful with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for last year, also giving us that seed funding to be able to do that. But it is quite an expensive endeavor, so we need partners, especially commercial partners, to join us, but also our sister federations to be able to launch and professionalize women's sports.
In football, Confederation of African Football Director of Competition, Samson Amadou, says that there will be a bigger and better African Football League tournament before the end of the season next year, and it will definitely not interfere with the regular football schedules. Cote d'Ivoire's Amadou says that the AFL could return with a different format. The AFL started with all 8 teams last year, and this year was expected to increase to 16 or 24 teams.
I think the plans for the AFL, fully in AFL, it's highly unlikely this year because we only have a few months to the end of the year, but the plans will be revealed fully for next year, when it's going to happen and what is the plans for it. But there are advanced talk in terms of the preparation for the AFL, and to make sure that AFL is even much bigger and much better than it was the last time. And there are exciting and great plans for the AFL, that's for sure. And that, like you mentioned, for the Club World Cup, AFL is going to also help the men's club football. As you saw, the last edition was also extremely good. And the next one is going to be even bigger and better.
Meanwhile, SuperSport United have announced the signing of Chad international defender Eric Mbangbo-Sum and Zimbabwean striker Nokutenda Mangeza on one-year deals with an option to renew. Eric was previously with UTS Rabat in Morocco on a 2-year spell, and Mangezi comes from the Real Betis Academy in Zimbabwe. Then the long-awaited independent hearing into Manchester City's alleged 115 breaches of Premier League financial regulations has finally begun today. City is accused of bending financial rules while on the rise to their current status. And of those 115 charges, 80 are for breaches of regulation from 2009 to 2018, while the remaining 35 relate to failing to cooperate with the Premier League's investigation. And if found guilty on some or all the charges, City face a severe points deduction and possibly even expulsion from the Premier League. Imagine the Premier League without Manchester City.
But United fans like, woo! We won one game, yay!
Then finally, in athletics, South African marathon and half marathon champion Alroy Holland has confirmed his participation in the Cape Town Marathon, the Absa Run Your City Joburg, and the Durban Summer 10-kilometer races. Now, despite a long and demanding season, the 30-year-old continues to show determination. Just last month, he marked his birthday with a 4th place finish at the Run Your City race in Tshwane, just days after an exhausting Olympic marathon where he secured an impressive 11th place in Paris. It was for the first time that he missed a podium finish on the domestic circuit this season. With that said, it is a wrap from my side. However, let me just keep you up to date with the Proteas woman.
You don't want to.
It's 41-3. We lost Marizan Cup, right? And Sunay Lees is in there. Whoa, 41-3 after 8 overs.
Hey, you know, Ntwana, if I could, I'd fly to Dubai.
Here we go again.
First class, Exeni. Ngithi shwe. Get myself a V12 Beast and a mansion with Instagram-worthy views.
You don't even have Instagram.
Imagine seeing the city skyline from my bedroom, watching MasterChef SA while I have my very own MasterChef in my kitchen. Forget the queues at the cinema. I'd have one in my crib, Joe. I'm talking 7.1 surround sound and a 120-inch 8K TV whilst I'm sipping on some grapes. I'm talking luxury, Ntwana. What do you know about that? Let me school you, bro. Tune into Dubai, Buying the Dream. Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. on S3. And channel your inner luxury. Only on S3. Open up.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. You love drama? Then step into the world of Luther as he cracks down on criminals terrorizing the streets of London Monday to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Top Gear will have you falling in love and rolling in laughter as Jeremy Clarkson and his team take you on an automotive journey like no other, Monday to Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Let's find out what's happening in the markets today. Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers is Makwe Masalela. Afternoon to you, Makwe. What's been happening today?
Afternoon to you, John, and to your listeners. We're looking at Metrofile annual results. Remember, this is an industry player in the field of information management. Results negatively impacted by low volumes growth across the businesses and a challenging trading environment. Revenue up by 1% due to price increases, but increases were offset by lower volume growth. Demand for cloud services remained strong, and the continued adoption of POPI legislative requirements was a positive. Box volumes remained flat. reduced net debt by 9%, but their overall financial performance, which is EBITDA, John, reduced by 17%, and their dividend per share down by 22%, as profit fell by 49%. And when it comes to the market, China's factory output, consumption, and investment slowed more than expected in August, sparking calls for Beijing to ramp up stimulus in order to achieve their 2024 growth target of 5%. And it's a big week for central banks, with the U.S. Central Bank decision on Wednesday taking the center stage. Brazil also on Wednesday. Thursday is ours, Bank of England and Norway. And John, lower interest rates are expected to provide a more accommodating environment for stocks in the coming months. And the US dollar dropped to the lowest level in 8 months as traders are divided on how big the cut will be. There was little reaction in markets to the news that the second attempt to that assassination, when it comes to Donald Trump, the attempt thereof. And while investors await a likely cut to US interest rates, oil prices are heating up as ongoing disruptions to US Gulf oil infrastructure balance the persistent demand concerns. And thus, after a fresh round of weak Chinese data, we see Brent crude is down 1.2% at $72. Yellow metal charged to record highs as a weaker dollar and prospects of aggressive rate cuts boosted the non-yielding bullion appeal. And global stocks, John, are mixed, with the JSE up 0.2%, and thanks to resources which are up 1.5%, and the rand firm 0.3% against the US dollar is now 17.68, 23.30 to the pound, and 19.63 to the euro.
Makwe Masilela, thank you very much. More business coming up again in an hour's time with Jimmy Muya.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Messages coming in so far. Hi, John. It's not only the restaurants where there are illegal and undocumented employees. Come to Bloemfontein in farms around Banesvlei and agri-implements selling places in 90% foreign nationals who are undocumented, from Mr. L in Bloemfontein. We're going to go to a call. Should we go to a call first before we go to the voice notes? Let's go to KG. Also, speaking of Bloemfontein. Hello, KG. You want to talk about the ANC renewal. What do you want to say?
Thank you so much for taking my call, John. Yes, I would suggest to them that they must consider the possibility of coming to the people, to us, to inquire from us what is it that they need to do for us to start trusting and to start considering voting for them again. Because it doesn't assist that they keep on listening to themselves speak. They don't know what is going on in our heads as ordinary individuals. For example, I have not seen a situation where a drug addict will have a conversation with himself or gather other drug addicts and then they discuss the addiction problem. They always go to somebody who will be able to assist them, to overcome the shortcoming of being an addict. So these exercises that they are busy doing, I think it's just an exercise in futility. You don't take them anywhere.
But that's what the Prof raised. He says that down at the grassroots level, they, as you say, they mustn't talk amongst themselves. Those branch members right down the bottom need to go to somebody like you, somebody like me, and go, what can we do to make your life better? It's that simple, isn't it?
Yes, they must hold town hall meetings, John. Town hall meetings. Because at the end of the day, they may be, say, for 500,000 branch, card-carrying members. But when you go to the elections, you don't have 500,000 people voting for them. You've got 10 million plus. So they're only listening to this 500,000 who are conflicted. Because the branch member is not going to tell them, get rid of Malusi Gava in parliament. Get rid of David Maslobo. Get rid of this, that, and the other person. Because that is not what they want to hear. And a vested member will be fearful of saying things that need to be said, for fear maybe of victimization, or for fear of, because all of them have ambition to become a councillor, a minister, even a president, or an ambassador or something.
It takes a brave leader to not have a yes man around them either. So it's those brave leaders that are needed now, that don't just surround themselves with yes men, that they're willing to take the criticism. KG and Bloemfontein, thank you very much. Let's take some voice notes quickly before we go to the next call. Staying with the ANC issue.
Hi, John. Hey, John, former President Mbeki, you can see Shem is trying all by means to bring back the ANC where it was, but it's too late. It's too late because no matter how we can try, these people, they can't change because it's not about the people and the political party to them is about themselves and their stomachs. I mean, what's 77 in Chaswet? You see, I see the people who are leading the ANC here. Hey, John, they are destroying this world with their corrupt ways. So, hey, ANC is finished, John. It's done. It's gone. They can't do nothing. If it's Nimpegi, they must forget. This is Bongani from Welbidas, East in Chaswet.
Lange in Pinetown, also about the ANC. Go ahead.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good day. Thank you very much. The ANC is a dying child. There's no way of taking and resuscitating back that child to life. It's already gone, Mancha. Sorry.
You see, you say that, but then they still perform well in the elections. Not as well, but they're still performing better than other political parties. So they're not that dead yet, are they?
The problem is in the grassroots. Everybody is no longer at the level of the ANC. No one wants to listen to them anymore because they've seen how they conduct things. They've seen how they conduct business. It's not about the people anymore. It's all about playing the people.
So what's the future of the ANC according to you, Langa?
The future of the ANC, let's just let it go on. Let's go on. Let's just hang on the GNU and let the GNU do what is best. Because the ANC is not going to come out from that GNU. It's not going to come out alive at all.
Langa, thank you very much for the call. You can give us a call as well. We'll take more later on in the show. 086 000 2032 is the number. 086 000 2032. And there's still some voice notes we need to get through as well. There's a couple on the Department of Labour and that issue, and also struggling with funds, apparently. South Africa is struggling with funds. We know that. South Africans, mainly me, struggling with funds as well. It's 11 minutes to 5.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week, and the bottom 6 are taken on a culinary trip back to school. For this challenge, they must create their dream lunchbox filled with nutritious yet delicious treats. And their creations are impressive. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
TUT Matatanta ladies are focused on full points as they chase a suitable position in the top half. But UWC want to triumph and pressurize log leaders. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. TUT Matatanta Ladies FC versus UWC Ladies FC on Saturday 21 September at 8:30 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Unlock a world of benefits. Welcome to SABC's TV License Rewards program. Ready to make your viewing experience more rewarding? Say hello to perks that go beyond just watching TV. Join us today at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and instantly receive your first reward. But wait, there's more. You can get up to 500 Rand back. Become part of something bigger, a movement where watching TV isn't just a hobby. It's a catalyst for positive change. Register now at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and open the door to a world of benefits. Plus, every time you tune in, you're making a difference. T's and C's apply. Remember, TV license fees aren't just payments. They make a difference.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
John in for Ashraf, it's the National Pulse on SAFM. Let's unlock your potential with the power in investing in personal growth. It's a very big topic. My guest is Paula Quincy. Paula, she's the founder of Engaged Humans, and it's fascinating. Paula, you and I have worked together, but I don't think we've actually ever spoken. We were text and email buddies for a long time. Sorry, Paula, go ahead.
Yes, we were indeed. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good chatting to you again. Let's talk about personal growth, right? What is personal growth, and let's start there. How is that different from any other thing around the world?
So personal growth really involves around either investing in yourself in terms of on your personal goals, your personal aspirations, but it could also blend into from a career perspective in that you have personal aspirations to be the CEO of the organization that you're working at or to become accredited in some sort of type of, professional skill. That's your personal aspiration. So it can blend into corporate as well or career, but it's really around taking the time to invest in yourself, to upskill yourself, to grow and develop and evolve so that you can move and progress in life.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a master's or a doctorate or something in education, a formal degree.
No, definitely not. It could be something as simple as, you know what, I want to live a healthier lifestyle, so I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to exercise 3 times a week.
Okay, good start. I've been doing that since January. I've been doing all right.
Good.
I found for me, and we can talk about this as to how to keep on going. A degree, you paid a lot of money to do it, you've got the peer pressure, all those kind of things. How do you make sure that your personal growth is maintained?
So you need to set yourself up for success if you are going to put, goals down or aspirations down for yourself. So first of all, you need to understand why. What is it that this is going to give me? How is it going to make me feel? What am I going to experience once I've accomplished this thing that I'm setting for myself, this goal? Because that's actually where our motivation comes from and our inspiration comes from, especially on those days when it feels tough, So our goals are the vehicle to get us to what we actually want, which is the feelings and the emotions behind this achievement that we're going to accomplish. And so that's the first important thing, is understanding your why behind it. Number 2 then is putting the steps in place to help you achieve these things. So whether it's an action plan, whether it's a signing up for courses, signing up for a personal trainer, wherever it might be. So accountability, and that's where the accountability comes in. So keeping yourself accountable, but also getting others to keep you accountable as well. Because the more people know about your goals and aspirations and dreams, they're going to ask you. So now that I know you've been doing this since January, I'm going to ask you next time, how's the healthy eating and the exercising going?
Well, I've got that evil big brother that gives me points every week as well. So that helps. Just little rewards like that. That must be a thing as well.
Absolutely. So setting incentives and rewards for yourself. So, if it's a 6-month journey and after every month, I've stuck to my plan and I was like 80% good, so I'm going to go and have a facial, or I'm going to buy myself these pairs of shoes, or I'm going to go out, for pizza or something. But that really gives us a sense of, when we trigger the brain's reward system, it releases oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, which makes us feel good. It's our happy hormone.
Yeah,
so that's what rewards and incentives does for us.
I think my scale disagrees with that. So my scale is the opposite of that. There's 4 things you've mentioned why personal growth matters. The career advancement kind of makes sense. Tell me about self-confidence. Why does that matter?
Everybody likes to feel good about themselves. And when we feel good about ourselves, we project a better version of ourselves out there, That's not to say that we don't have down days and down moments. We do. But it builds that sense of, self-worth, and that we have meaning and purpose in life, in our lives. And it gives us the confidence to try new things because, well, hey, if I can do this, then I can do that. So it actually builds our confidence muscles. And it allows us to step into new places and try new things instead of being afraid, and we play life small.
Would the two of them work together? So in other words, apply for a job where you think you're not really 100% sure you can get it. Do some personal growth stuff, maybe a little online course, maybe a little something. Then you reapply for a job and you know that you got it. So that confidence helps, right?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. And that's where this, life is a lifelong journey of learning, and you've got to continuously upskill yourself in different ways, personally and professionally, to remain relevant in this world, but also to be able to cope with the way the world is changing and growing and evolving.
Life isn't just about work and money. Tell me about a purposeful life and adaptability. Those are different. That's for people around you as opposed to you making money.
Yeah, so, purposeful life is we all want to have meaning and purpose in life, and we want to feel that, we're doing something valuable with our lives. We're not just wasting away or sitting back and waiting for life to happen to us. We're going out there and we're making life happen for us. And, whether it's a personal journey of spiritual fulfillment, or whether it's, doing something volunteering, giving back to others, or whether it's from a career point of view, or in your relationship, enhancing your relationship skills, it's all going to give you a meaningful, purposeful life and a fulfillment and satisfaction in life. And linked to that is the adaptability around, the more I try things, the more I'm able to be flexible and adaptable, because I'm developing a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset.
I like that. We've listed the pros. Enhance your career opportunities, you say, the well-being, we feel fitter, you're stronger, you live longer. I guess giving up cigarettes would be a little self-improvement, things like that. What are the cons? One of the issues I've discovered is when every time I've looked at extra courses and things, I just see things in dollars and tens of thousands of rand. How do I get around that?
Yeah, there is always going to be a cost investment, whether it's your time, we only have three currencies in life, right? It's time, it's effort or energy, and it's around the willingness to want to do this. Right. So you've got to make the time for something. You're never going to find the time. So people that say, oh, I don't have time to study, or I don't have time to go to the gym, sorry, that is the dog's version. That's the adult version of the dog ate my homework. Okay? You've got to make the time, and you've got to be willing to make that sacrifice to get something, to reap the reward, right? And that's where the time comes in. And financial, there's lots of free things out there today, free courses, free places where you can go and learn, you can volunteer, you can job shadow, that doesn't cost a lot of money. But if you are willing to make that investment because you want some form of accreditation, or you want, some form of official outcome like a degree or a master's, you can, or you're willing to pay for the results, like working with a personal trainer that's going to hold you accountable every day to get the results that you want.
And the last one you've got here is emotional vulnerability, but also physical as well. To get out there and do something about it, you need, you say you need to be willing to accept a little bit of disappointment as well?
Yeah, because life is not, all beds of roses. Growing is hard. It's changing things. It's stopping doing certain things and starting doing new things. And it's learning about, yourself at a deep level, because you've got to persevere, and you've got to put yourself out there, and you've got to focus, and you've got to be committed, and you've got to be dedicated. And people don't like it when it's hard, which is why a lot of people give up so soon in life or in doing things, and they never complete those things because it's hard to push through to the end.
When do you start, Paula Quincy? There's New Year's Day, New Year's resolutions. We'll start the diet on Monday. We'll start the diet next month. What's the best time to start? Today.
Today is the best day to start. Don't wait, because before you know it, 6 months have gone by and you still haven't started what you wanted to do.
Paula Quincy is the founder of Engaged Humans. Thanks very much. A little motivational talk to get you up and going. I know that I have to wake up early for this week, because normally I'm doing my afternoon runs in the afternoon. Around about now I'd be finishing. But now I'm on the radio, so I have to wake up early to go for my run. I've got to run for an hour. I'm just sweating thinking about it. It's 5 o'clock. You're with SAFM.
In this news update, a major deficit for the Road Accident Fund, an alleged Trump assassin identified. Good day to you. The CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Collins Letswalo, is calling for the efficient use of state resources amid news that the fund recorded a 1.6 billion rand deficit for the 2023-24 financial year. The fund attributes the shortfall to the absence of fuel levy increases over the past 3 years. Letswalo's warned that paying claimants lump sums of money is not working and will not be sustainable in the future.
You've got a fuel levy that is not growing. You've got a backlog of claims, about 300,000 somewhat. You are trying to drive a process. You receive your money monthly. You don't get it up front, monthly. And then you need to pay someone in lump sums. You need to balance a couple of things. Your cash flow is coming in at about 4 billion or so a month. You are sitting with about 8 billion of short-term debt. If you don't manage that, you will take the whole 4 billion and you'll pay the 8 billion. And then you'll have a shortfall still of about 4 billion to catch up with.
The Higher Education Minister, Nabuklin Kabane, says moves to terminate the National Student Financial Aid Scheme's 2.5 million rand rental lease of its Cape Town head office are underway. The scheme has come under fire for paying exorbitant rental while facing financial constraints. The Minister and the scheme's leadership briefed the media in Pretoria on applications for the 2025 academic year, which go live on Friday.
We are going to decentralize. We are going to establish regional offices in 3 provinces, which is the Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal. Then we see how best can we then come up with satellite offices in other provinces. We are in plans to actually terminate the contract that we have with the landlord in our Cape Town offices because it doesn't make any business sense anyways.
The Western Cape Education Department says that though reducing the number of teachers is unavoidable, they're taking steps to minimise the impact. It was announced earlier that they'd be cutting over 2,000 contract posts for next year. The Provincial Minister of Education, David Mania.
We agreed that we would protect schools for learners with special education needs from the reduction in posts. These are our most vulnerable learners and require extra care and support from our department. We agreed that we would not cut funding for school meals or learner transport. We cannot have learners go hungry or be unable to get to school. Thirdly, we agreed that we would not cut the funding that our schools receive to pay their daily expenses. Schools rely on this funding to pay for everything from water and lights to stationery.
Police in the Western Cape have seized abalone worth more than 10 million rand in an industrial area near Philippi on the Cape Flats. Police spokesperson Malcolm Boyke says they acted on information about an abalone storage facility.
The suspect was stood at the entrance gate to the premises, attempted to run away when he noticed the members approaching. The members managed to apprehend the suspect, a Chinese national. The members also apprehended 2 Zimbabwean nationals who were found inside the facility busy processing a substantial quantity of wet and dry abalone. Further inspections of the premises led to the discovery and confiscation of 11,485 wet and 15,200 dry abalone, as well as equipment with a total estimated value of about 10.3 million rand.
The man who allegedly pointed an AK-47 style weapon at the golf course where former US President Donald Trump was playing has been identified as 58-year-old Ryan Ruth. His social media post suggests that he voted for Trump in the 2016 election, but soured on the current Republican nominee for president. He was alleged to be hiding in bushes near the golf course perimeter, pointing a rifle at where Trump was playing in West Palm Beach in Florida. Sharon Bryce Peace reports.
Trump's protective detail had been bolstered after the first failed assassination attempt when he was grazed by a bullet while speaking at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania 2 months ago. Secret Service agents fired at the suspect, who fled in a black SUV before being stopped and arrested at a traffic stop. Trump later thanked law enforcement for keeping him safe. An AK-47-styled rifle and other items were found at the scene. President Joe Biden also commended the work of the Secret Service and their law enforcement partners, expressing relief that the former president was unharmed. Trump's Democratic opponent in this year's election, Vice President Kamala Harris, posted on social media that violence had no place in America. Chauvin Briceby's SABC News, New York.
The top story, the CEO of the Road Accident Fund is calling for efficient use of state resources amid news that the funds recorded a 1.6 billion rand deficit. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Goss.
In sports this hour, SuperSport and SABC agreed terms on sub-licensing of PSL broadcast rights, and Pakistan women faces Proteas women in the first T20. That match underway.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N17 eastbound in Boksburg has a crash after Osborne Road exit. In Bedfordview, the N12 R24 westbound is queuing on both routes towards Gilulis interchange, and the N3 northbound queuing on the link to the N12 east at Gilulis interchange. In Midrand, the N1 southbound has a stationary truck reported at Olifantsfontein Road, and the N1 northbound slow moving towards Samrand Road. In Pretoria, Eskom Patleli Drive northbound has delays towards Moot Street, and the N1 southbound has a stationary vehicle reported after Rigel Avenue. In KZN, the N2 southbound slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction. The N2 northbound has a crash before Mgeni Road. The M19 eastbound has a crash on the link to the N2 north, and Kasi Road in Hillcrest has roadworks reported with traffic restrictions between the M13 and N3 highways. In Cape Town, Hilberson Road southbound in in Velgelegen is slow moving towards Rothschild Boulevard. Victoria Road outbound is slow moving through Woodstock. Albert Road outbound is slow moving through Woodstock. Marine Drive northbound in Milnerton, slow moving towards Loxton Road. And Lisbeek Parkway southbound in Observatory, slow moving towards the N2 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.1 FM in Johannesburg.
The wait is finally over, and we can safely say that Tropica Island of Treasure is back to serve you some really great entertainment. Tune into S3 from the 28th of September to cheer on the 7 teams who will be vying to win a shared prize of 1 million rand, a brand new car each, and become the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure Season 11. Fancy 50,000 bucks? Predict the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure, and you might be sipping that cold, refreshing Tropica all the way to the bank. Follow at MyTropica and at SABC3 for more information. Channel your inner champion with Tropica Island of Treasure. Starts Saturday the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Tune in to catch the rebirth of Movango's new season on SABC2 every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. Experience the drama and excitement with new intriguing characters like Dr. Nonhlanhla Klimba, played by Letleti Kumalo, and of course your usual favourites, Aswindini, Rendani, Tabogo, and yes, of course, Khosi. It's a renaissance of new beginnings, love, secrets and betrayal. Remember, that's every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. on SABC2.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
It's 9 minutes past 5. You're with SAFM. John in for Ashraf. It's the National Pulse. Coming up in a moment, there was a water imbizo over the weekend. There's also level 1 water restrictions being implemented up around Rand Water, wherever Rand Water is supplying the water. Level 1 water restrictions. They kind of came in quite early. It was almost like, here's spring, 1st of September, now you will have water restrictions. We'll find out what came out of that imbizo in a moment. And also, we're going to get all the market updates and time for your calls as well towards the end of the show. There is a feature that Ashraf normally does just towards the end of the program. We're not going to do that today because that's an Ashraf feature, and we're going to leave that to Ashraf. So we'll probably have more time for calls and WhatsApps towards the end of the program. On the numbers, you ready? Call 086 000 2032. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107. Let's get an update on what's happening at BMW, though. There was a protest out in Roslyn today. Katlejo, what's Katlejo's surname? Sorry, I don't know Katlejo's surname. Katlejo Lechodi joins us now, SABC reporter. He was out at this protest that was happening in Roslyn. Katlejo, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. There are reports of police fighting back against protesters. What's been happening today?
A very good afternoon to you, John, and to our listeners at home. Well, spending most of today at BMW, the plant in Roslyn in Pretoria. This is, of course, because the workers are down tools from the early hours of the morning going into the afternoon, and just going there concerned and worried that the company is actually moving to retrench about 700 of the workers at the organization, only to find out that actually what is at the center of what has been happening there are allegations of medical aid fraud that the workers have been implicated in. Some of those workers have since been dismissed. Others are facing disciplinary. Others have been arrested where this is concerned. And we hear that NUMSA, which is the body, the organization, the union that is representing the workers, have taken issue with the way that this process had undergone, how the management has handled this process. They're trying to safeguard jobs here, and we're told that there are about 700 of those workers to 900 that stand to lose their jobs at the company because of these allegations of fraud, just basically involving the BMW Employees Medical Aid Scheme.
Okay, so this is a process where action will be taken. They're researching to see if there has been bribery, fraud, or corruption by its employees.
So what's happening is that there's an ongoing investigation at the company, and even today we saw the company release a statement just countering the assertions that have been out there that they are actually moving to retrench and restructure, and they were saying that no, the reason why you find these workers outside and not inside is because of an ongoing investigation that involves the medical aid scheme, this being the BMW Employees Medical Aid Scheme, and they're saying that at the center of the strike action is the dismissals, is the arrests that are linked to this ongoing investigation at the company. It's a fraud investigation that they've roped in law enforcement authorities to help them get to the bottom of what has happened there at the company. So these are linked to false claims on medical procedures, whereby they're saying employees went on to collude with certain practitioners, just basically claiming falsely and getting money channeled elsewhere when there were no procedures that had been, undertaken here. So they are investigating certain doctors, they're investigating certain workers, they're even terming this as some sort of a syndicate that has been operating in the company for quite some time. Hence, they are taking this hard stance and dismissing people. And the union is trying by all means to safeguard the work, the work there and the jobs of their members at the company, saying that they should try by all means. They should meet each other halfway as the company and labor to try by all means to safeguard the work. So here we are told of a certain runner. So today what we heard was that the employer is confirming that the members were recruited by a certain runner, a runner who has got a relationship with a doctor or certain medical practitioners, and they're saying that this runner would go to these doctors on behalf of the employees to try and claim here. And that's how those claims would get processed, and they're investigating a case by case in terms of how a certain member would have then benefited here illegally, and they've now roped in the police to help them here. But NUMSA is saying that there should actually be some sort of a mercy here, whereby they're saying that the employer should actually treat the dismissals as somewhat of a last resort and not move to quickly dismiss the workers, but saying that really when they look at it, no one can afford to lose their jobs right now. And they're actually saying that the workers were not at the center of what has been happening here, but these runners need to be the ones that are taken on. The doctors need to be taken on in terms of the ones that have been working around this particular syndicate.
Katlego, the reports of scenes getting ugly at the protest?
So the protest continues because what they're saying is that earlier on we saw the police. The police actually rapid fire bullets at some of the protesting workers there. And this is when they indicated that they're going to be taking this up with IPID in terms of assault, where the police are concerned, because they're saying that theirs was a peaceful protest. But we see the police, there were actually ambulances as well on the ground treating injuries of those that were involved in this. We hear that the national office bearers of NUMSA have now entered this whole fray. They're going to be continuing with the negotiations with the employer, but the workers have vowed to continue with their demonstrations. Earlier on, also speaking to the management of BMW, they said it on good authority to me that they are not suffering any production setbacks or some sort of interferences coming from these workers that have since been, part of this investigation. And they're saying that there are workers that are continuing past shifts. So we'll wait and see if tomorrow then they'll start feeling the knock. But as far as we are concerned, there was little movement, at that company. But the management releasing a statement as well, saying that they are continuing with their operations as per usual.
It's confusing to me, Katlego. It just sounds as if this is a misunderstanding.
I don't think it's a misunderstanding. I think it's basically an investigation. They have a leg in terms of the investigation.
Right.
So they believe that there were collusions here. At some point, they're saying someone even claimed for amputation. But how do you claim for amputation when you're still in the fold of the employee? So you can't then have been amputated when you are there on the ground at the plant working. So they're trying to get to the bottom of case by case. The people that have claimed that they had ear issues, ear infections from the ground, from the plant. There are others that have claimed for back pains and all of those issues. But they're still still there and they're employed, they're working. They're trying to also find out if they can match their timetable, the schedules, in terms of people that would clock in to get in and come and report for duty, compared to you having taken a day off to say you're not feeling well. So they're trying to get all of these reports, but the company believes that there is a case here. Hence, there are already 6 people that have been arrested. They believe that more people are still, will be arrested, and also there are those dismissals that will be forthcoming as well as they try by all means to get to the bottom of what happened here.
Okay, you say it'll continue tomorrow, Katlego?
Yeah, they're saying that the workers are saying that they're continuing. They'll be on the ground tomorrow. Their office bearers are kind of saying that, they should give the national office bearers some time to try by all means to get to the bottom of what is happening. But it doesn't look like those workers will be deterred from embarking on a similar demonstration like the one that they embarked on today, as those conversations continue behind closed doors.
Katlego Legodi is our SABC News economics reporter. Thanks very much.
Okay. They actually did it. I mean, I've seen it done in other countries, but now they have a whole new local season of the show. Oh, Mzansi, you beautiful, amazing land with diverse families and cultures. Wife Swap South Africa is finally here. Tune in from Monday the 9th of September and see how families from across South Africa swap wives and learn a thing or 2 or 3 on how other families operate. There will be disruptions, lessons learned, tears, and smiles in this unique and insightful social experiment. Channel your best entertainment with Wife Swap, Mondays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
S3. The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish, see if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Is there ever a bad time for a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
It's 19 minutes past 5. John in for Ashraf. It's the National Pulse on SAFM. Let's talk about an Imbizo that the Gauteng provincial government, along with the Department of Water and Sanitation, as well as Rand Water, hosted with municipal councillors in Boksburg. They addressed water challenges in Gauteng. Rand Water spokesperson Makunosi Maru joins me on the line to talk about this Imbizo. We'll talk about water restrictions as well. Makunosi, good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining us.
To the listeners, and thank you for having us on the show.
What was the initial idea for this Imbizo?
The idea was to call in all the stakeholders, key stakeholders. That would be the Department of Water and Sanitation, Office of the Premier, COPTA, and the mayors, and some of the councillors, so that we talk about water challenges, water management in the province.
Okay, to what end? What was the hope at the end of the conversation?
We wanted to come up with ideas in terms of how are we going to reduce the high consumption. We also discussed other challenges that rainwater is facing, which I don't know if you want me to go through them now, or we can just,
There are a few. I imagine we could be here for a long time with some of the challenges you're facing. Let's talk about that high consumption first. As soon as you and I talk about this, it'll be raised that there are leakages. It's poor infrastructure. It's non-maintenance. What is the plan there?
Yes, the leaks are there. The consumption is high. Maybe firstly let's put it. We are not blaming residents, because there was a report that we are blaming residents. We are just stating a fact that the consumption is high. We do have a license that allows us to abstract a certain amount of water from the valve. We are given that permission by the Department of Water and Sanitation. So we are over the limit. We are over abstracting. So we have applied for a temporary license in terms of us increasing the amount of water that we're abstracting. But the license will be for a number of months. It won't be a long term. license. So we want to go back to where we were in terms of the agreed water, the water rationing for each municipality. So that's the first challenge, high water consumption. We need to reduce that. We've also spoken to municipalities to fix their infrastructure, to also respond within 48 hours if there is a burst pipe in an area. But also we're encouraging them, one, to pay rainwater because they do owe rainwater a lot of money. But also with regards to illegal connections, to disconnect those so that we know exactly where we are feeding water to, who's receiving water, and we are able to account for water.
Let's talk about that extraction, first of all. That's fascinating that I hadn't even thought of. You would think that you would just extract as much water as is needed. There are more and more people moving into Gauteng. Population is growing and growing. There's only so much water in the Vaal River system. What are the plans to get more water so that you can extract more water? Where does that fall?
Okay, yes. In the long term, remember the license that we gave an ETB for a number of years. So we will re-evaluate, looking at the population, the number of people who are coming into the province from outside the province, outside the country, and others from moving from other provinces into Gauteng. So that will be reviewed with time. But at the moment, what we are having, we feel as rainwater, it's enough water. The leaks are the problem, yes. So if we fix those leaks, if we really challenge municipalities to invest in their infrastructure, there will be a difference. And also we are experiencing illegal connections. Those, if we deal with those, there will be solutions. They will not be having this high consumption.
Okay, and you mentioned the payments. What do the municipalities say when you say we need our money?
Some of them, they are unable to collect revenue from residents. We know that the economy is not doing well. But as rainwater, we were saying, you are getting a portion, a rationale from National Treasury in terms of equitable share. You should be able to really come up with a plan. How are you going to pay your key service providers, your Eskom, your rainwater, from that portion that you get from National Treasury? So we're saying that is not an excuse that people are not paying. Yes, we do understand people are not paying, but what about the money that you're getting from National Treasury?
And are they receptive to saying we need to get when you say we need the money as well?
Some of them are. They are paying. You would get maybe a municipality that is paying 2 months in succession, consecutive months, and then they skip another month or two. But in terms of debtors days, they are increasing. We used to get paid within 30 days. Now it has increased to over 40 days. Other municipalities, we are even at over 50 days. So we are really trying. We are going through the intergovernmental relations forums. We are getting COGTA to assist. We are getting the Office of the Premier to assist, and National Treasury.
Let's talk about the water restrictions. We're on level 1 water restrictions in Gauteng now. And as I said in the intro a little while ago, that it was like it's springtime, therefore level 1 water restrictions. Why just implement it willy-nilly like that?
All right. I think when you introduced the subject, you said rainwater is introducing level 1 restrictions. It's not rainwater, it's the municipalities in Gauteng.
Okay.
Rainwater has not yet introduced any restrictions. And what do we mean when we say level 1 restrictions? It means municipalities are saying residents are not allowed to water their gardens between 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. From the 1st of September up until the 31st of March 2025. So also when you have to clean your driveway, please use a bucket instead of using a hose pipe. When you have to water your garden, use a bucket. Use water that has been used instead of using clean water that has been purified that can be used for drinking. So those are the tips that we are giving residents from municipal point of view, but also from rainwater, we are supporting municipalities.
Okay, just to explain why municipalities would restrict water when you're not.
In fact, with level 1, it's not restriction. It's just saying do not water your
Okay,
garden.
so it's suggestions to save water because we're a water scarce country.
That's correct. So
Okay.
there are no restrictions. It's just we are, they're prohibiting residents from not watering their gardens between these hours.
Yeah.
So there are no restrictions yet.
The one thing that's hanging over our heads that we've had all these valve changes and updates and all those kind of things. Thank you very much for doing all of that. The next thing is this Highlands water scheme. The water coming from the Highlands into Ash River is going to be off for a few months. What are the plans for that, and will that lead to shortages?
Yes, I know that the Department of Water and Sanitation, they are servicing and maintaining the Lesotho Highlands project. The maintenance is scheduled for 6 months, so it's starting on the 1st of October up until the 31st of March. There shouldn't be any concerns with regards to the areas that we are supplying. We have a number of dams where we get water from. So rainwater, in that sense, we are cushioned, we will be comfortable, we will be able to supply water.
Obviously, we're waiting now for the rainy season. What are the levels of the dams coming out of winter and coming into the wet season?
At the moment, with the Val Dam, the last time I had, we're above 60%. And then with our reservoir, in terms of just general, the average, we are sitting at about 45%. Ideally, we want to be sitting at 60%.
Okay, so things are a bit low. Thank you very much, Rand Water spokesperson Makunosi Maru, updating us on that in Bizo, having conversations with the municipalities. Level 1 water restrictions in Gauteng municipalities at the moment. Do you follow those restrictions? Do you look after those? Do you when you hear those warnings, do you heed them? Let us know what you think. Let's take some voice notes. We've got a minute or so to the news headlines at past. Let's start with the story we did a little while ago.
Good afternoon, John. You know the reason why these capitalists who are running restaurants and farms will continue to hire undocumented illegal immigrants is precisely because of the attitude of the Department of Labor. I mean, why do you need citizens to blow a whistle on these people? You know, you eat at these restaurants. You know that in almost every second restaurant, you hardly find a South African there. So why are you waiting for us as citizens to blow the whistle? Just go there, man, and enforce the laws of this country and stop making excuses, for your failures.
Good afternoon, John. The country is struggling with funds. They don't have budgets for increases. They don't have budgets for additional teachers. They don't have budgets for school feeding schemes, for scholar transport, things like that. And here you have NSFAS paying 2.5 million rand a month for prestigious offices on the foreshore in Cape Town, close to Harbour Arch. Who approved that deal? Who benefited from it? Really interesting to know. But yet municipal workers are insisting that they get like 12% increases and stuff, but yet people are being paid off and losing their jobs. Interesting. All from Cape Town.
It's 5:30. You're with SAFM. To me has your sport in a bit. First news headlines at 5:30 with Greg House.
Thank you, John. A quick look. The Northwest Umbrella Fire Protection Association has called for a state of disaster to be declared as fires have spread across that province. The CEO of the Road Accident Fund's calling for the efficient use of state resources amid news that the funds recorded a 1.6 billion rand deficit, and the Kremlin has reacted to the second assassination attempt against Republican candidates and former US President Donald Trump. We'll tell you more on that story and other news at the top of the hour.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkapele.
Tumi, hello.
Hi.
Are you watching the Proteas again?
Yes, but
What's
we'll update you on that score just a bit later.
Okay.
For now, let's start off with football. The SABC and SuperSport have agreed on a sub-licensing deal for PSL matches. The public broadcaster will show 23 out of 240 league matches and Culling Black Label Cup games, Nedbank Cup, and 6 National First Division matches. And the league games will be every Saturday on SABC1. Meanwhile, Confederation of African Football Director of Competition, Samson Amadou, says that there will be a bigger and better African Football League tournament before the end of the season next year, and it will not interfere with the regular football schedules. Amadou says that the AFL could return with a different format, and it started with all 8 teams last year, and this year was expected to increase to 16 or 24 teams.
I think the plans for the AFL, fully in AFL, it's highly unlikely this year because we only have a few months to the end of the year, but the plans will be revealed fully for next year, when it's going to happen and what is the plans for it. But there are advanced talk in terms of the preparation for the AFL and to make sure that AFL is even much bigger and much better than it was the last time. And there are exciting and great plans for the AFL, that's for sure. And that, like you mentioned, for the Club World Cup, AFL is going to also help the men's club football. As you saw, the last edition was also extremely good. And the next one is going to be even bigger and better.
SuperSport United have announced the signing of Chad international defender Eric Magosum and Zimbabwean striker Nokutenda Mangezi on one-year deals with an option to renew. Eric was previously with UTS Rabat in Morocco on a 2-year spell, and Mangezi comes from the Real Betis Academy in Zimbabwe. Then on to cricket, where Proteas women are currently sitting on 116 for 4 after 19 overs. Tasman Brits sitting on 54. And Chloe Tyron is sitting on 3. She just came in, or just by the way, she is making her 100th T20 appearance. And this game is part of the crucial preparations for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. So it'll be interesting to see how much South Africa is going to post for their 20 overs. Then still staying with cricket, while many sports continue to struggle with securing funding and professionalizing women's competitions, Cricket South Africa seems to be making significant strides. CSA announced a 1-year sponsorship deal with Hollywood Bets for the Pro Series League set to begin next month. The 6-team domestic tournament will ensure that women players are paid for their participation, allowing them to focus on training and competing without financial concerns. Here's CSA Chief Executive Officer Puletsi Museki.
With partners like Hollywood Bets, it's quite an expensive endeavor. So you need partners to walk that journey with us. And we're hoping, with what we started last year and with Hollywood Bets joining us, there's other corporates who will obviously assist our sister federations to also be able to launch and professionalize the space, because we actually need it. It's the right thing to do. So obviously commercial partners are going to be quite key. We're still very much grateful with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for last year, also giving us that seed funding to be able to do that. But it is quite an expensive endeavor, so we need partners, especially commercial partners, to join us, but also our sister federations to be able to launch and professionalize women's sports.
In cycling, Tour de France champion Tadej Pogacar hints into this month's Cycling Road World Championship, seeking his first title. But the 25-year-old says that he has extra confidence after winning the Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal yesterday. Pogacar, who won his 3rd Tour in July to add to his Giro d'Italia victory, is looking to become the 3rd man to clinch cycling's Triple Crown, previously achieved in 1974 and 1987. Before I let you go, the Proteas women have posted 132 for 4 in the 20 overs.
I feel like they are 20 runs short. 132 for 4. I think they're 20 runs short. But let's see.
Let's see if they'll be able to field well.
Well, it's. I've struggled with 2020 cricket, and I've said this before on the radio, because it's over so quickly. You can kind of tell. I've always said I can predict the winner after the first 5 overs.
So who do you think is going to win here?
Pakistan. Based on the first 5 overs, those 3 wickets we lost at the beginning, that would be my theory. But we'll talk tomorrow. Let's see how close we get.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see
I support the Proteas, don't get me wrong. I want them to win. But I just feel like in T20 it's so difficult to turn around a bad start.
And I think, personally, as I was saying earlier on, South Africa needs to do well in this series. But you saying it's just a warm-up.
It's just a warm-up. They're just flexing. You're just trying out. You just, when before a run, You do the little hip flexes and you do the shoulder. This is where they are. And then the next one is the...
If they lose the series, how are they going to head into the World Cup?
It's fine. It's just warm up.
No confidence.
Warm up. We'll agree to disagree. We'll talk tomorrow. Let's see what happens.
Alrighty. Ke nna Tumeng Kgapele. Modimo ke yona.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N17 eastbound in Boksburg has a crash reported after Osborne Road exit. Eskempa-Hleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Mood Street. In Bedfordview, the N12 R24 westbound queuing on both routes towards Gilulis interchange, and the N3 northbound is queuing on the link to the N12 east at Gilulis interchange. In Midrand, the N1 southbound has a stationary truck reported at Olifantsfontein Road, and the N1 northbound is slow moving towards Samrand Road. In KZN, the N2 southbound is slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction. The N2 northbound is queuing towards Westwood Mall. The N3 both ways queuing on the link to the N2 north at Spaghetti Junction, and the N3 eastbound in Ashburton has a stationary truck reported after the Market Road exit. In Cape Town, the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound slow moving towards the N2 highway. The N1 outbound is queuing towards Okavango Road. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Racecourse Road. The M3 southbound is queuing towards Rhodes Drive, and the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week, and the bottom 6 are taken on a culinary trip back to school. For this challenge, they must create their dream lunchbox filled with nutritious yet delicious treats. And their creations are impressive. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
This September, S3 brings you thought-provoking nature dockies that will change the way in which you view the world. Search for the Last Unicorn tells the story of the search for the northern white rhino, an animal that was officially declared extinct in 2018. Follow Saving the Survivors as they travel to South Sudan in the hope of giving us a second chance to save the northern white rhino. Airs Sunday the 22nd of September. Channel your inner activist with our selection of premium dockies Sundays at 5 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
MoneyWeb market updates coming up in a few minutes. Jimmy Muyaha's got all the details. Jimmy, I see dollar issues got nothing to do with the assassination attempts, though.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to the listeners. The dollar certainly is reacting to what's been happening in the US. I think there was a lot more reaction on platforms like X than there was in the markets. The markets kind of reacted a bit more to the first assassination attempt. I suppose maybe by now they might be used to it. But nonetheless, the equity markets have been moving in quite a weird way. I mean, if we look at some Asian markets, they would have been trading early in this morning. Sydney was up about 0.25%. Hong Kong was up about 0.1%. But the Nikkei in Japan was down around 0.33%, and the Shanghai Composite was down almost 1%. European markets were also a bit of a mixed bag, with the FTSE up about 0.1%, but the CAC 40 in France down the same percentage, and the DAX in Germany down about 0.33%. US markets at the moment are also a bit confused. S&P's down about 0.1%, with the Nasdaq down about almost a full percent at this stage, but the Dow is up about 0.33%. Our own local markets didn't fare much better. The resources sector was up about 1.1% actually, with industrials down about 0.45% and financials kind of flat. As a result, the top 40 was kind of down about 0.1%, but the all share was flat to marginally in the green. The rand against the dollar, 17 rand 64 cents. 1 British pound will cost you 23 rand 27, and 1 euro will cost you 19 rand and 61 cents. Gold price has been moving. That's approaching $2,600 an ounce. It's at $2,580 at the moment, kind of where it was towards the end of last week. And the Brent crude price is at $73.18 a barrel. What we have
have coming up on the show today, we're going to be speaking to the Road Accident Fund around that press briefing that they gave us, along with their numbers and the results there. We're going to be speaking to Nestle. They've decided they want to sell the Cremora business. They announced that last week, so we're going to catch up with them and see what we make of that. And then we're going to be speaking to African Rainbow Capital. They gave us their results for the year ended 30 June 2024, so we've got lots to dig into there. And then because it's Mondays, we have a personal finance segment on a Monday. We're going to be taking a look at how to refresh or spring clean your finances as we head into the new season.
All right, Jimmy, thank you very much. You see, I like good news, Jimmy. This is what I'm looking for from finance guys. It's okay. We'll wait. I guess the markets will tell you which the good news is. Jimmy Muyaha, thank you very much. Money Market Update coming up in 19 minutes or so.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Mandla sent a text me. I don't know if I can read this. Mandla, I think I don't know. I'm gonna wait. There's a rule in radio: when in doubt, don't. And many times when in doubt, do. This one, I'm not censoring it. I'm just not sure if the wording that you use is radio friendly. Let's take some voice notes before we go to the calls. 0614 104 107.
Hello, John. I think the people who are criticizing Thabo Mbeki and the ANC revival are just expressing their wishes. They can see that the ANC is still alive, well, kicking and well. So now they are just afraid of the ANC still alive. The ANC won't die. They are the one. Their parties will die.
Hi, John. Hey, John. Former President Thabo Mbeki. Hey, you can see Shem is trying all by means to bring back the ANC where it was, but it's too.
Well, we've played that one. Let's go to this one about the inspectors of the restaurants.
Good afternoon, John. Oh, Arthur from Johannesburg. That number sounds incorrect. 2 inspections in the entire year per inspector. And then the rest of the time, what are they doing? Don't they wake up and go to work every day? Wow, those guys will not survive in the private sector. Because in the private sector, probably a minimum, it's about 20 a month. And they must have reports. Or 15 a month, and they must have reports. So what do they do the whole time? Two per year. Wow, man, one every... That's why they'll never get things right. The inspectors are not doing what they're meant to do. Unless they've got other jobs to inspect. But in terms of if the 1,900 is just for restaurant,
Well, this is what I didn't understand. And that's why I double-checked. According to Viwe, the guest that I had, 1,900 inspectors, and there were 2,800 inspections last year. It's like, what? It made, and that's why I said, that's only 2 a year. And he go, yeah. So what are you doing? What do you do on a Tuesday? Surely you could do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. You do for the rest of the year. It made no sense in my head either. It's 5:45. Let's go to voice. Let's go to phone calls. 086 000 2032. Katu in Midrand. Hello, Katu.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Lekker, go.
I almost spoke about the inspectors, but that's for another day. I think that for me, the issue with the liberation movement, the ANC, a lot of people are still waiting to be liberated from poverty. So people continue to vote for the ANC because they want their vote to translate to a plate of food on their table. They want their vote to translate into a job, to translate into better medical care. And unfortunately, the ANC that we have now, just anybody in politics right now is in it for themselves. It's about tenders. Regardless of what political party it is, you could remove the entire ANC and put new political parties in there. I think it's become the politics of the stomach. So the solution for me is that the people need to liberate themselves, but we still need government because our education system needs to reflect the ambitions of our future. We need to have agriculture, mechanical, all these things in our high school so that you don't spend 12 years and still don't have a skill after matric because not everybody can afford a university fees.
Part of that, and it's interesting you raise education, doesn't the Bella Bill make government more in control of the education?
Well, I guess it does. The president, I heard him say he's going to give them a few months to do this and that. But the thing is, with all due respect, but we don't believe that any politician wakes up in the morning and he says, you know what, I want to make the lives of these 60 million people better.
Yeah.
Everybody wakes up to make their life better.
Do you feel a difference with the GNU?
I see good media strategies from the DA. They're very good. They're doing everything publicly, but it's like a drop in the ocean. It's a small thing here, it's a small thing there. It's almost like how terrorism is. Terrorism looks like it's happening throughout the entire world, but they terrorize you with a few videos of gruesome things that they do to scare everybody else. Yeah.
Cartoon Midrand, thank you very much. It's Politics of the Stomach. What do you make of that? Give us a call, 086 000 2032. In a moment, we're going to go back to a story, a horrifying story that Vicky Abraham told Ashraf back in June of this year. There's some good news that's come out of this story. There's been an award given to Vicky Abraham, and we'll focus on that in a little bit. Let's go to, I think we might have played that first note. Let's go to these last two voice notes for now on 086 000. No, the voice note number, 0614 104 107.
Afternoon, evening, John. Yeah, I agree with NPA on that Jocelyn's case. If there's new information that will lead to more arrests, they must be given more time and justice for Jocelyn. Thank you. It's Kanga Shiba, say hi flats, what Kwataza.
Afternoon, John. John, people are complaining about the restaurants hiring foreigners. What about the president himself? Do you remember that lady who stole money from the sofas of the president is in Namibia? Does she have a scarce skill? What was a domestic worker there by the president there? Should we blow whistles? It's just a joke. No money from Brixton.
12 minutes to 6. We're going to celebrate winning next.
Hey, Ntwana, if I could, I'd fly to Dubai.
Here we go again.
First class, Exeni. Ngithi shwe. Get myself a V12 Beast and a mansion with Instagram-worthy views.
You don't even have Instagram.
Imagine seeing the city skyline from my bedroom, watching MasterChef SA while I have my very own MasterChef in my kitchen. Forget the queues at the cinema. I'd have one in my crib, Joe. I'm talking 7.1 surround sound and a 120-inch 8K TV whilst I'm sipping on some grapes. I'm talking luxury, Ntwana. What do you know about that? Let me school you, bro. Tune into Dubai, Buying the Dream. Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. on S3. And channel your inner luxury. Only on S3. Open up.
Tune in to catch the rebirth of Mavangu's new season on SABC2 every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. and experience the drama and excitement with new intriguing characters like Dr. Nonhlanhla Klimba, played by Leleti Kumalo. And of course, your usual favorites, Uswandini, Randani, Tebogo, and of course, Khosi. It's a renaissance of new beginnings, love, secrets, and betrayal. Remember, that's every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. on SABC2.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
I might have to eat humble pie. South Africa have taken a wicket. First ball. Who was the bowler? It was Marizan Cup. First ball, she's got herself a wicket already against Pakistan women in the T20. So Pakistan are after two balls, none for one. After two balls, getting Feroza caught by Tryon off the bowling of Cap for a duck. So I might be wrong. Who knows? Let's see. Let's take one or two more voice notes. We got no, we don't. So we're going to go to our next guest. We're going to the guest. Sorry, that's right. We're going to go to our next story. This is the wedding feature on a Monday at 9 minutes to 6. We chat to Vicky Abraham. She has received the Nat Nakasa Community Award this past weekend for her series on blind students at the PCB College in Pretoria who were subjected to inhumane conditions, including being forced to eat food crawling with ants. You may recall that on the 26th of June this year, Ashraf, my colleague, spoke to Vicky about the disturbing story. This is how she described the situation at PCD College.
We started doing investigations on the college a few weeks ago. We had been alerted because we started a publication for the deaf community. So we were alerted by one of the deaf community members because the students were not happy about the treatment at the college. So they took it to social media. So they posted a video of themselves, talking about the issues that are happening there, how they are insulted by their white superiors, and also the fact that allegations that they are made to sit on the grass when it's wet. Like even during rainy season, even this month, you can see how cold it is. They allege that they are not allowed to sit on chairs. They are not allowed to warm up their food, so they eat cold food. And some of them, they are pregnant and so those are the issues that they're complaining about. So the issues about the ends was that they don't have lockers where they can place their bags and their food. So they have to place them on the grass or also on the ground. So now they are less that their food will be infested with ants, and they will have to eat them. These are deaf students, and some of them are students with hearing students with different disabilities. So those are the allegations that they were, that they brought forth. And others were talking about issues of being made to collect feces, dog feces, and, cleaning that. And these are electrical students. And other allegations were that, if you clean a car, the boss's car, not the boss's car per se, the cars at the college, they have to clean that maybe 6 times. And, when we asked the college owner, and he says that, they have to make sure that it's done correctly. And they are alleged that they are being shown a middle finger, and so they are not happy about the situation there. And one of the students came out and said that when she was pregnant, she had to go into labor prematurely because of the treatment at the college, and she was made to dig the ground, even though she was just she hadn't healed from C-section.
That's Vicky Abraham, editor of the diary series of Deaf People. She joins us now after winning the Nat Nakasa Community Award, honouring journalists who amplify local voices and foster community engagement. Congratulations to you, Vicky. I guess it's a bittersweet to win an award like this when you see those kind of situations.
Yeah, it's also that I'm very happy. Why I'll say that I'm very happy because we've seen the solutions after publishing the article about the deaf students, because even students with different disabilities came out speaking about the same situations that the deaf students were complaining about. And what I liked about what I gathered from there, sometimes you tend to think that the deaf community, they don't speak out, but they were the more who were at the forefront, and the hearing students were not speaking out, so they broke the silence. Because they started by posting their video on TikTok and complaining about what they were subjected to at the college. And after we wrote some, they tried to, even the PCD college even tried to gag us from writing the stories. They tried to stop us through their attorneys and all that. But our attorneys, we had to correspond with them through our attorneys as well. But then, after that, AFROX stopped, they sent us an email to say that they are stopping their students from studying at PCD College and they're taking them to another training center. So, as journalists, when you write a story, it's not about exclusive stories that you write. It's not about a scoop, because our mandate as an organization, as the diary series of deaf people, is to say, it's not about a hype. It's about making sure that we, there are solutions to the situations that people find themselves in. Because sometimes you write a story and people talk about it, but people's lives haven't changed. And, you won't believe it. Some of the students, they are now doing different things. Others are even now studying filming because of, they're very excited. Others even want to move from electrical engineering to becoming journalists. They see that, okay, fine, this is a good profession, Yeah.
Stay being an engineer. Stay being an engineer. With this comes recognition, Vicky. So what is the next story? There's always the next story that you need to be looking out for, and I'm sure that there are many stories of deaf people struggling in the country.
Yes, the other story that we had, I don't know, one of the stories, another story that we had a very major solution to. It was about 114, people who are working in the education system, education in the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape, and some of them are deaf. They were unpaid their salaries for 5 months, and after we wrote a story, they managed to pay 57 out of 114. So, it's in the special schools. And imagine going to work every day for 5 months and not getting paid. And another one that we had, before I can tell you about our next stories, another one that we had, we wrote a story about a deaf youngster who graduated from, after graduation, he didn't get a job. After 10 days, we wrote a story. Everybody wanted to hire him, and he got a job.
Lovely.
So those are the stories that we are focusing on. But now another major story that we are working on is about we are working with some production company on this one. So we'll have a visual on it. It's about a blind youngster who has not paid his award. He was supposed to be given 30,000 by one of the municipalities. I can't say that. Let's, you scoop me on that. I don't want your colleagues to scoop me. So they didn't pay him 30,000, last year. So, he's blind, and he's, one of the well-known stars in the country who's blind. So we'll be exposing one of the municipalities in the country for not paying him. So that's one of our stories. And others, it's about...
I just need to squeeze this question in before we have to finish. We've just had the Paralympic Games. We've got a Miss South Africa who is deaf. There's awareness of people that are blind and deaf. It's there. It's obvious. We're seeing these people. Is anything being done to help their plight?
I wouldn't say that. There's less that has been done by government. Because you'll notice that the government said they are officializing sign language as a top language in the country. But there are no implementations. You come up with you're saying, I'm signing the bill. It doesn't mean that you're changing people's lives. It's just a signature, right? And then because their situations haven't changed, you go to the hospitals, we only have 864 courts in the country, and we have 23 sign language interpreters in those courts, and only one is full-time employed. So how are you going to serve the people? And you go to the police stations, you don't find, there's no visibility of a sign language interpreter. And you find out that the situations that they find themselves in, women who are battered, women, youngsters, they can't come out and say that, they've been raped, or maybe they are going through abuse at home, because when they get to the police station, the same police officers, they cannot take their statements. Like, for instance, we wrote an article last month about a youngster was raped multiple times. Sure. The NPA hasn't done anything on that matter.
Right. Vicky, we need to leave it there. Need to leave it there, unfortunately. We're out of time at 6 o'clock. Vicky Abram, congratulations on your award. Keep on fighting the fight. Editor of the Diary series of Deaf People. Thank you very much to Katu, Tumi, Tebogo, Vosani, and Temba for putting the show together. It's 6 o'clock.
Thank you, John. In this news update, call for a state of disaster to be declared in the northwest and a major deficit for the Road Accident Fund. Good evening. The chairperson of the Northwest Umbrella Fire Protection Association, Eric Stoch, has called for a state of disaster to be declared as fires have spread across the province. Farm owners continue to battle to contain wildfires which have been raging since Saturday and have caused extensive damage to animals, property and arable land. Stoch elaborates.
At the moment, we've managed to stop 3 fires from starting, but we have a couple of raging fires, one in the Matlosana area, one in the Vredefort Dome again, and then also one in the Magaliesberg Mountains. At the moment in our province, all of the fire brigade services are under-resourced.